On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Hello, I am one of your hosts, Omega. With me, as always, Lucky, and we shall be your Virgils to your Dante today, which means we're taking you to hell, brother.
But I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka business as usual. And while we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events from the JP and EN version of the game. So anyone not want to spoilers, to take a poet with you through the nine hells. It's important.
So, chat, we're going to be playing a little bit of game of audio balancing. That seemed like it was recorded pretty quiet. I pushed up Lucky's user volume on Discord in the middle of that, and it didn't really change on my end. I can amplify that in post, but hopefully I don't have to amplify the whole thing. Give me a little audio, Lucky.
This is a little audio.
It's better, but that doesn't seem 200% better.
Chat, how do I sound to you guys, by the way?
Yeah, you probably sound fine to them because you're on the normal setup and everybody's on their own setup. Oh, that was weird. I spoke out of the side of my mouth and then directly into my microphone. So to explain what's up, audio's gonna probably be a little weird for the show because my headset stopped working. I thought it was just the cable, that's because I am actually super loud when I do the intro. But I thought it was the cable, got it replaced. No, it was the headset. So I'm operating off a different audio device right now. I'm on a Bluetooth headset that my parents were able to scrounge up for me. But that means that the out audio, I guess, that I'm capturing is going to be a little different than it was before. And if this isn't working, I got a couple of workarounds that are a little annoying to do, but we can shift it around a little. So I will probably sound a little different. Oh, you still have the emergency meeting button. And
I use it.
Good.
I'm about to say, no, I use it every once in a while.
Yeah. Let me go into my voice and video and let's raise the output volume again on Discord. Now, Discord, are you actually going to change the level of volume now that I adjusted something, or are you going to stay the same until whatever? Yeah, Audacity did not really pick that up. Anyway, I'll play it by ear for a little, so sounds will probably change a little bit as we go on.
Yeah.
All right, I'm resuming the recordifying. We've switched back audio devices. The audio is now being pumped in through my one spare set of earbuds. So I may have to order a new wired headset anyway, to be safe. But we're magically in stereo now. I don't actually think that mattered for that first bit to record in mono, but it was. But Lucky should now be audible to you correctly, the audience. Anyway, this episode and my... Can I... Yeah, we were recording for 3 minutes. I can cuss. And my future fucking headset brought to you by our lovely patrons and listeners. Please watch us lots and support us on Patreon, as apparently I must beware the Ides of March. So to explain that before we get into our normal segment and stuff, like I said, been a hell of a week. And basically the headset I've been using for the past oh god, I want to say 10 years. It lasted me fucking forever, which is crazy for me. Usually and admittedly, I've had to readjust for cable length before. And I did have to use tape to hold together some of the outer casing that had cracked after all that time, right? But lasted me a long time, which is good for audio devices. And I do have a Bluetooth headset, which does work with my PC. But obviously, as you may have, depending on how much of that is intelligible in the first couple minutes there, you can tell that goofing around with audio outputs and inputs and loopback is annoying, problematic even. So I'll have to reinvest in a more long-term solution, but I can still work around that at least for recording. And the wireless headset will get me through day-to-day life, at least. I should sound the same to you because I'm still using my beautiful, wonderful microphone, whose mic arm I should also replace someday, eventually. But the budget's been a little tight lately, okay? Let me sip some water.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
Also, I've been a little ill today as well. So headset died on Wednesday randomly out of nowhere. Luckily, after I already decided I was not going to go through with the Final Fantasy XIV stream because my computer was being really obnoxious and slow that day and had terrible connection through OBS. Absolutely dog-ass despite being restarted my connection and stuff. It was just super bad that day. So, not a great end. But hopefully, we'll get stuff sorted out more and we can get you the show. That is not exactly why the show was delayed. We moved it back one day because also Lucky's sleep schedule has been really fucked up lately.
Unfortunately, yes. It's all my fault. It's nothing major. I've been playing too much Monster Hunter Wilds. Too much. God, actually, let me pull up my Hunter profile here. Because I have the nice little widget that tells me my play times. Okay, so it says I have 107 hours on this. I'm pretty sure that is a lie. But this means that this game has been open for at least 107 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, this is probably a better indicator. I'm Hunter rank 88.
It's pretty good. That's pretty high. I think, is 99 the cap? Actually, I don't know what the cap is.
Oh, no. The cap goes just, you can reach like 300.
Okay. So then the tweet I saw where somebody said their Hunter rank was 999 was possibly not doctored. Though I don't know if you have enough time in the day to do that normally. But yeah, no. It's pretty high. Maybe I'm like low 40s, high 50s? I don't know. You can get a couple that are back to back pretty fast. But yes, as somebody in patron chat put it, our lovely high level patrons at the Golden Whale tier get to listen to the show get recorded every week, said he's been having too much fun. And I kind of suspected that's where it was going when at like 6 p.m. my time, I made sure show notes were in order, but you hadn't posted Mailbag or anything yet. And I was like, okay, show's ready to go. If your like sleep schedule's goofed up, for instance, I didn't say it this way, but my thinking was hypothetically, if you just woke up, looked at Discord and see this message, we can probably push to the next day.
Unfortunately, it was exactly that.
Yeah. So listen, we've been doing this a while, but we're back. We're recording the show. We're going to hopefully have something for you, which means that it is time to jump back into regular business and check in with everybody's favorite Kohai, Mash. Assuming that I can play my audio cue correctly because I've cycled through several audio devices while waiting.
Senpai, 起きてください.
Okay, yes, it worked. It's time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai, Wake the Fuck Up Pro Tips.
Woo.
Which is funny because I don't really have a big pro tip. It's just I would say don't worry too hard about the White Day event. You've got the full 20 days to do it. Yes, it is the same amount of points leveling that the previous event was, except that there's much less accessibility to the points boosting unless you're rolling on the gacha, but you do have the full time to make steady progress. I know I've been making sure to, despite all my other difficulties, at least, go through and spend my AP a couple of times a day to keep farming, just to keep up. So I think I'm current.
Lucky is definitely not current. I'll tell you what. Not entirely sure why, but I had a bit of a rocky start getting started with the events.
Well, it would require you to not put down Monster Hunter per se, but look away for a little bit so you can read.
Reading.
And then you're gonna farm. We'll do some high level first impressions after the mailbag, but yeah.
Yeah, so with that, we're going to go on to Records from the Throne, our regular achievement topic. I have something here. It's not really good nor bad. It just kind of exists, but I did want to put it out there because it leads me into another little topic. But I did throw 30 chords at the CBC banner, not because of Takasugi, although he is pretty neat in his own regards, but I wanted CEs because, CEs are good for an event. But also they do the little unique thing in which when you get the CE, you get a little, little voice segment where they do a skit. I was like, oh yeah, that shit's rad as fuck.
Yeah, I think that's been the way for a couple of years now. I don't remember. I think it's been more than 1 year since they did it. But yes, that is a thing they do it at the CBC.
White Day event, yes. And I do like hearing the voice acting and whatnot. So I wanted to hear a few more of them. I only got 3, and I haven't used my ticket yet. So I only have a total of 4, but I still gotta be careful. I can't go any more than that. Tiamat is soon.
Yes, possibly quite soon.
Too soon.
I mean,
or
yes,
not
absolutely
soon
too soon, as it works out. But yeah, no, the voice CEs are really, really cool. And you can review the text anytime, and you might be able to replay the audio that way. It basically where they put the normal CE description is where the text of the skit is. For my free with ticket, I picked the, Charlemagne Roland Astolfo one right at the top, one of the 5 stars. Easy pick. But yes, no evil. That means we move on to, did ye finish your master missions? You got a little bit of time when this episode's going out, but you need to complete 5 quests and then 10 quests. Do 30 FP summons, which reminds me, I haven't done that. I should make sure to do that. I don't know, but I assume that, like usual, the 3-star CEs are in the FP gacha, so that might be a good way to get a few of those if you're willing to commit some rolls. And then defeat 3 each of Saber Assassin, Archer Caster, and Lancer Rider Berserker servants. Also, yes, chat confirming you can replay the CE audio from the description mode.
Rad.
Good. Great. Even. Also, yes, if you hear me, before my stomach's been bothering me today, so if you hear me like gurgle or erp weird, we're fighting for our lives out here. But
It was me this entire time.
oh yeah, those sound levels are much bigger. Okay, hold on. Let me rebalance the audio now. All right, Discord back to default. Let's see. What I have lucky? Yeah, let's take him down to like 120. Yeah, sorry about again the audio mismatch. Some of that didn't come across because I paused the audio for a second because guess what? The sound of you fiddling with your microphone came across very loudly. But the Lucky accidentally had his mic off. So despite that, it was off. It still picked up enough for me to like understand him like a normal fucking human.
I genuinely don't know where this secret mic is coming from. Like, I think my microphone just might continue picking up audio even though it's in an off position. I don't know why.
It's so weird. But now our sound levels in Audacity are both correct. Yay.
Yay.
At a later date, I will retry audio capturing with my fucking Bluetooth headset, but I really don't want to fight resetting Audacity. We've been recording for like 15 minutes, and it won't like that. So we're doing it this way now, chat.
No, like, it's not my headset mic. I know this because my previous headset mic I had to turn off, and I didn't even have plugged in. It's not my new headset mic because I can actually, take out the microphone. And I've checked my audio settings. There are no other microphones being registered. So when I click off my microphone, it does not go from like 100 to 0. It goes from like 100 to like 15%. And I don't know why.
Probably not a built-in computer mic. Also, you'd be able to tell if it was Lucky's headset mic because it's, I don't want to say it's even quieter than that, but it is Lucky's new wireless headset does have a mic. It is a very different sound profile than his haunted microphone.
Yes. Let me go pull up my like sound devices real quick. Like, I've been trying to get better about just using Discord to mute myself, but it's one of those things where I usually have to click through some windows, and sometimes I need to get that quick. I need everyone to shut up real quick. I need to shut up real quick.
Yeah.
So that's usually faster for me. But
yeah. Honestly, like for me, depending on what I'm doing, I mute both mics because like if I'm streaming like Fail Betrayal, right, I can mute deafen myself in the Discord. But that doesn't turn off my mic that's just outgoing straight through OBS. So I usually, like, if I want to be actually quiet and leave, I got to do both,
Mm-hmm.
All right. But hopefully, beware the Ides of March. Can I call this episode that? I don't think I've used that title before. This is episode 380, by the way. I had to double check that because I had to save the Audacity, project file earlier to do the previous audio switch. So like this is 380. I don't know all the titles I've used for stuff, but hopefully our audio ups and downs will stop and you've got it. We're good now. I may go back and insert a new recording to the front and be like, hey, the audio is going to be a little goofed up for a while in the front. We get through it. It's okay. All right. Anyway,
okay.
Skelograms.
Yeah.
God, that is a very funny sound now that we're in the juice.
The juice center.
Now that you're correctly like your audio's inputting and outputting your correct devices. That's like a big blocky sound. Anyway, we're loud and proud, chat. We've always been this way. Our primary news is from JP, though I will also pull up, even though I did not write it in the notes, because I think we had the start date announced anyway. Oh, luckily, it's right here on the splash. Okay. I just went to their main website and I can pull it up for you. So, yeah, it started the same day as the other one, so we'll get there when we get there. But JP started with their Avenger weekly campaign. I believe they did announce, and we probably talked about in previous weeks, that their plans, I think, are Avengers, and was it the other half of Lancers, or are we moving on to like Riders? I don't remember. You'll see in a week, I guess. But Avenger Weekly campaign. In case you can't tell from this is going to be all the Avengers, because they can actually hit all of those in one weekly campaign. Salieri is on rate up all the time because he is still the only normally accessible 3-star Avenger. But we do have enough 4 stars to spread it out, so there's a rotation. So your banners for this are going to be Dante's Gorgon, Jolter Lobo, Mao Nobunaga, Summer Aris, Space Ishtar, Summer Chloe, Kagekiyo, Summer Jufu, Summer Kama, Gorgon, Nido Alter, Lobo, Ushigozen, Summer Aris, Mary Alter, Chloe, The Count, Summer Jufu. My additional note here is, man, we like Summer Avengers.
Yeah.
But we get to begin and end with The Count. That's fun. So yeah, that's the Avengers campaign, and like I said, that is all of the Avengers up to this point. So yay. But funnily enough, both CBCs are both slated to start the 5th and end on either the 25th or 26th, depending on time zone stuff. But the new one in Japan is CBC 2025. His name is Dante. Concierge at Hotel De Novo. Not De Novo, not the DRM, but De Novo. So it's CBC. There are some new CEs. We do have a brand new servant, Pretender, Dante. And this is pretty cool. We'll talk about the mechanics later, but I just like the fact that, and I can say it now, they've justified making him a pretender because the idea is that both as a character himself and as a story, we are unsure if Dante is meant to be Dante Alighieri the poet or Dante Alighieri the character in the Divine Comedy. So it's either the poet Dante pretending to be his self-insert character or his self-insert character pretending to be the poet Dante. It's great. I love it. Because in case you didn't know, yes, Dante wrote the Divine Comedy with himself as an insert, but also obviously, like, it's a metaphor. I don't think Dante literally was wandering in the caves outside of, Italy. But it's great. His ascensions are great. He's looking good. Several of his animations reference the classic Gustave Doré engravings, which, yes, to let you know how much of a nerd I am about Dante Alighieri, I own a book of the Doré illustrations that go with the Divine Comedy. So this is pretty cool. I think I said this in the Wanted about Shinsaku that went out. That one was actually very short for a Wanted script. Shinsaku unfortunately passing away relatively young in his life from the dreaded anime blood from mouth disease. Do you think that's why, by the way, anime has such an obsession with the coughing blood disease is because tuberculosis got several famous Meiji-era figures?
Probably, yeah.
But, yeah, so that one was a very straightforward one. Can't wait for 2 years to do the Wanted on Dante, which will probably be 3 times as large. You hear me yelling about Dante. But yeah, so we got a brand new servant. I know last week we were like, absolutely no idea if it'll be a costume or a new servant. It'll be something. Well, it's Dante.
That is definitely something.
We also got some rank ups. Again, we usually pepper out a couple of rank ups every event, and some of these are pretty interesting. So first of all, Izo rank up, his Star Absorb. Keep in mind that his 1-turn Star Absorb skill is still his 3-turn cooldown one. Now they also made it a 10 to 20% arts up for 1 turn and also instantly generates 5 to 15 stars. It is still on 3-turn minimum cooldown at level 10, but now is a little bit more of a damage steroid. Probably not going to be too broken at his normal 3-star stats, but people who may have already invested in some grails are probably going to see some huge returns on that one because, the way the stats stack up a lot.
Yeah.
But also good on them for, getting a little more experimental. Even with a 3-turn cooldown, a 1-turn skill effect is not super great on its own, So they stacked him a couple extra effects. But also, Hozoin Inshun also got a buff. He used to have a 30 to 50% quick up for 1 turn. It also gave him a lot of resistance to mental debuffs, so basically like a mana burst. They made it 3 turns, so he gets 50% quick up for 3 turns. It also now does the same thing for arts, and is also a 20 to 30% battery. Again, probably not too broken because Ishun does not have a damaging NP. His NP is the self-buff type. So giving him 3 turns of, 1.5 times effectiveness on his quick and arts cards is probably not actually that game-breaking. But in general, also giving him a little bit of battery to work with will probably, round out his skills and, make sure that he's actually more effective in his turns in general, which is good. So I have to say, as an aside, we don't talk about Girls Frontline 2 a lot. It's great. It's going great. Love it. The story stuff, real cool. I like it a lot. I didn't go completely broke on my collapse pieces rolling Centaurisi, but it was bad. But Robin, one of our patrons, has posted in our patron chat a sticker from the official Girls Frontline 2 server on Discord, which is Colfine with the first aid spray saying, "Become European."
No, official Discord stickers are fucking unhinged.
It's great. I love it. Also, absolutely, totally in character for Colfine. But yes, got a couple of rank ups there. And as I mentioned before, story of Chaldea Heavy Industries, which I feel like the subtitle got more extra in English. Business to business, from me to you. Also fired up over here, running basically the same time period. We're going to get the full pick-up summon that's going to have, all the characters outlined. I believe I listed that when I did the pregame the other week. We do have, obviously, a new banner servant, and we got a story. Also, I have seen a few people in our Discord having fun with the whatchamacallit, the double my room stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People have been taking a few. Okay, yeah, so the rank up we got was for Emiya Alter. And I would like to once again stress, we will probably mention this again in brief when we do kind of first impressions, but it's very funny to me that they called this and they slotted it in as CBC, where this is literally a sequel to GudaGuda Close Call.
Literally.
Like straight up. Also, fun fact, not knowing jack shit about the event, in the Wanted about Shinsaku, I made sure to stress his relationship with his teacher, Yoshida Shioin.
Well, ain't that just a coinky dink?
It's funny how if the writers were going to write more Shinsaku facts TM, there was only a couple of wells to go to. But that does run us through all of our current skeleton grams.
Yeah.
So, yay.
Yay. So with that, it is time for this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. I'm going to put in one last refresh. I'm not expecting, nope, it stayed the same, but we got seven lovely comments, and we will get through them all right meow. So our first one comes from Monster Go Aficionado. Oh boy, howdy on that Monster Go Aficionado shit. Lucky has been finding those Janikas of a Monster Hunter monsters, and I'm just like, yes, good, quite excellent. But they say, dear Lucky and Omega, no questions this week, just sending good vibes and wishing you well. Keep up the great work. Now back to the hunt. Lucky has to actually stop the hunt. Actually, Lucky's been so drawn, sucked in by Monster Hunter. I've been slacking on oh my gosh, and it's starting to stress me out.
Luckily, I
there are things I need to be doing.
But yes, I have sat in the Monster Hunter lobby while doing the little match 3 puzzle in Girls Frontline 2 a lot lately. Yes, there's just something about it, man. The gameplay loop is very tight.
How many days do I have left on the Zukuro event?
Several. It's been going for about a week now, so should still have at least 1 week, probably a little longer. Girls Frontline's kind of weird with how they do events.
But that's it from there. This next one comes from the 100-Hour Man, who says, Dear Lucky and Omega, hope you are having a fun week. So, yeah, going back and listening to your older episodes from the start, I was at episode in the 90s where Lucky brought up how some weird people were going back and listening to the entire backlog of Let's Talk FGO and how those people are insane. That got Omega, apparently.
Yeah, no, it's just the fucking timing on that. That was 300 episodes ago.
I both laugh and cry that this was 5 years ago and I still have a ways to go. This coming from someone who's clearly insane. Anyways, question for you two. Since this some time has passed since the final Lostbelt release, how would you rank it compared to the others? Keep on being awesome. No, you keep being awesome. How dare? Oh, God.
Number 2, like right behind 6.
You see, I want to put them both at number 1 because I like them for like kind of different reasons.
That's also
like
fair.
they both kind of like honestly, they both kind of have a similar story arc, I want to say, in which you get in, you discover the world, you walk around, you meet friends, you meet enemies, and eventually everything culminates with everything being really super fucked up. Like, but the prime difference between Lostbelt 6 and Lostbelt 7 is that even though the fairies, look human, they are decidedly not. And even though the Danos, and I'll even put the Osalome in there kind of, don't necessarily look human, they are indeed very human. And we kind of have that juxtaposition between like the two societies in a lot of our like if you're put them like next side to side, that's where you see like a lot of the difference in like how people act and are treated and stuff.
True. Also, I like apart from the secret boss fight in the middle of it or towards the end of it, I do actually think Lostbelt 7 did actually do the Nasu says it's a simple adventure story thing a lot more than 6 did. Like, honestly, 7 is like really straightforward in terms of what you're doing. You progress through the underworlds, you catch up with a lot of stuff. It's just that, as we talked about when we did our very, very long, in detailed recapping, that like Ort blows everything that came before it out of the water and like completely like shifts the paradigm. But up until that point, it is actually like very normal. Like you you go places, you explore stuff, you fight dinosaurs, there's underground ruins. It's all pretty straightforward.
Like with Lostbelt 6 and 7, like I really like both the Lostbelt Kings because you have Morgan as basically an anti-villain, and then but you have Cuckoo on the other side, who's not actually a villain at all. Don't actually ever fucking fight her ever, even though she's like, I'm gonna fight you.
Yes, Morgan, who does actually ultimately fight you once and should have completely kicked your ass, but wasn't really that much of a bad person all along. As we like to say, fucking fairies, man. Down versus Cuckoo, who insists she will have to fight you, but never does. Literally never fights you.
No, so it's like honestly, like between 6 and 7, I could not pick between the two because like the cast in both of them is amazing. Like beating the fairy knights, Oberon's whole story, hecking I can't remember what the leaders were called. Lords?
Yeah, I think they were the clan heads. That's right.
Clan heads, yes, excuse me. Like the clan heads and just, the little fairies like you meet here and there. And, against, in Lostbelt 7, you had like the Danos themselves. The Dano 11, my boys. I love them to bits. Give me Dano 11 plushies, Lasango. I will buy them.
I mean, we turned fucking Cornunos into a marketable plushie.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, if nobody's done that, I should do that. I'm feeling cute, and then it turns into a plushie. I should do that fucking edit. Take the battle screen where he's fucking 3D, and then do I'm feeling cute.
I'm gonna do something cute, plushie. Yeah, no, so unfortunately, no. This is one of those things where Lucky is going to be indecisive on purpose. It's like, no, I can't pick between Lostbelt 6 and 7. They are both good for different reasons, and it's one of those things like, no, I can't pick between them.
Once again, the soundtrack team killed it in both.
Oh yeah,
I think both of those have super iconic soundtracks. I think I can mentally pick out most of the major OST themes of 6, but 7 has some very strong parts. Also, I should say this, by the way, because my audio has been fucked up since Wednesday, hey, by the way, no progress was made in working on editing the Lostbelt recap, because we couldn't do that. If my audio's fucked, I can't listen back to it, but hopefully we will continue on that process soon. But it's fighting me a little. But yeah, no, they're both very strong, and I my first thought is to go immediately just be Well, I have to count 7 below 6, but I actually think you are correct, Lucky, in that it is, how would I say this? They're both really good for different reasons.
No, like you have to forgive me for I am not like the best with my words here, but when I put them side by side, I actually see very similar story structures and writing. I don't know. Did Nasu write I think Nasu wrote both 6 and 7, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes.
Yes, and he followed a very kind of similar formula for both. You start off kind of alone and travel through the lands, learning things here and there as you learn about the world, and then ultimately come to understand it. You come to understand that Fairy Britain needs to fucking burn, and you come to understand that Miklon is going to burn, and
They're both are completely, utterly doomed no matter what you fucking do.
Yeah.
But they're going about it in very different ways, because in Miklon, nobody is actually trying to stop Miklon's eventual destruction, because everybody in it has already come to terms with the fact that they were living on borrowed time anyway, and they never should have been, and who cares? Shit's fucked, man. Whereas Britain is all about none of the fairies give a shit that they're all going to die, because that would require them to show remorse. Except Morgan, who is fighting tooth and nail to keep this shit together.
No, but it's like they are two very similar stories with similar beats that culminate with different, I don't want to say necessarily Aesop's or something, but you look upon the morals and ethics of every side, and you have to come away with different, you have different results, I guess, for the best of the world. Best results, reason, reactions. Again, Lucky does not have the proper vocabulary to illuminate you all what I actually mean. Good job, American education system. When can I just download a dictionary into my brain? So if we were gonna talk animated, though, I would definitely probably pick, if you were to ask me which one would I like to see animated first, I would probably pick 6 over 7. So I think that is purely personal bias, because I would love to see Vargas animated. Just saying, give that to me. Give it to me. By the way, this plushie is
Plushie is smug as hell. Somebody posted it over on Plushie.
Smug as fuck. I
like that. I'm talking about the similar structure. I think that if I had to think about it, I think technically Oberon and Tezcatlipoca are kind of ultimately in the same roles, especially because you have to fight David and Tez to finish out the Lostbelt. But they come in at completely different angles, because Oberon, I don't want to say fakes that he's on your side, but he's on your side for his own reasons the entire time, because he's actually chasing his own agenda, as opposed to Tezcatlipoca, whose agenda is everybody's agenda. It's a great contrast of similar character roles, but very different executions.
Yeah.
Anyway, the writing is great. The Lostbelt writing is great, and it's I'm glad to know that Nasu's still got it. He didn't peak in Fate's Day Night. But it is also kind of a shame then, why I hope they do an animation of it or something. It is kind of a shame that it is currently kind of isolated in FGO, where genuinely a lot of people do not want to commit, and maybe shouldn't have to commit the amount of hours it would take them to get to LB6, right?
I'm not gonna...
we like FGO, but if you just wanted to experience it as peak Nasu, that is asking you for a lot of hours out of your day to get there.
Well, it is true. I don't want to say the journey's not worth it, but there is definitely some parts of the journey where you'll just be this is a little bit of a slog.
It is about the journey, not the destination kind of a thing, but it is ultimately there is a decent amount of a lead up, but it is still a lot of work. And honestly, with 7, if you made 7 into an anime season right now, I think you would need the episode 0 of just the montage of all previous 6 Lostbelts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because I don't think 7 will necessarily make sense without some setup. 6, you could probably have Da Vinci or Sion just do a little monologue in the first episode for 5 minutes and recap the situation, and then you're in there, because Lostbelt 6 was deliberately designed to be kind of self-contained, right? Like we literally weren't going to do anything about that Lostbelt other than that we needed the Rongominiad effect to fight Madame Prez.
Whoa.
And then, we ultimately realized that there's a separate threat where the Lostbelt is going to explode the Earth in 24 hours or something. And then the deadline didn't actually matter because it was, fucking 1 day out here, 1 year in there type shit anyway. But it sounded impressive. On the flip side, like I said, Sip. 7 literally starts with quote unquote the final boss fight at the front. And that's going to be one of those things that's like, how the fuck do you explain that to somebody?
Yeah. Not to mention it yet. You kind of have to explain. Yeah, you have to explain at the very least Madam President and Urt. And honestly, I don't think anyone wants to try and explain Urt.
Or at least there is dialogue in the Lostbelt where the exposition characters try to explain it to us as the player. So I think it works. But definitely, if you want to explain the foreign god and Madame Prez, that's you got to at least flash back to LB5, which may need you to flash back to other parts of LB5. But, I don't know. Like I said, probably you'd need, an episode 0 or just a montage of, all the previous, Lostbelts and Cryptors up to this point just to, explain who the fuck anybody is. And get Joji Nakata to narrate it, because he's good at that.
I would love to hear more Joji Nakata narration, just saying.
I don't know what it is, but there's been people just posting a bunch of different Fate series clips on Twitter again, and I did see one about the fucking Old Man Hassan fights in the Babylonian anime. It was some joke about aura farming, but I was like, no, he was really staged up, man. The Old Man of the Mountain was a genuine freak in the Babylonian anime. That was real rad. Y'all remember that he ate one of the Bell Lamus? Just fucking slurped him up like he was a grimace shake. Shit's crazy.
It was a technique learned from the Hassan of the Big Spoon.
Yes, my favorite. No, yes, it did have it's in the last episode, so there's a lot of stuff going on. But no, when the Bell Lamu show up in the anime, old man Hassan hops down and he's just don't worry about it, I'll fight all these guys. And the Bell Lamu's stab him a bunch and they're hee hee hee. They do their annoying little laugh, and then he's just well, joke's on you, and literally fucking eats one of them in front of the protagonist too. Fujiwara Riska just kind of goes with it. He's just yep, that's what King Hassan does. Perfectly normal.
At this point, we're 6 singularities in, and who knows how many events. The boy's already been hardened, or the character has already been hardened.
You can at least, I think you can say the boy because it's in the anime. It's the male protagonist.
True.
Nobody doing the voice.
So, with that, I think we should move on, though. Good chat. Good chat. Good chat. Good chat.
Chatto, good chatting.
Sorry, Lucky just had to skip over that one a few times in his head. So, we move on. This next one comes from No Party Like a GudaGuda Party. This is correct. Howdy, Lucky and Omega. Hope your week is going well. It is going okay. Despite my alias, my question this week relates to JPCBC. And the question, since we all know the class of our new servant, Dante Aguilera, is Pretender, who do you think we summon? Is it Dante pretending to be someone else, or someone else pretending to be Dante? It's both. It's Dante pretending to be Dante.
Yeah, no, I like the argument that we can't figure out whether it's supposed to be, because it's been a pretty consistent, I won't say big thing, but a fairly consistent thing in FGO about the split between fictional characters and authors, right? Mm-hmm. We've made a decently big deal about Moriarty and Sherlock and stuff like that. But the idea that Dante is a pretender because we genuinely can't figure out, is it the poet Dante Alighieri who has, his isekai adventure powers, or is it everybody thinks of the fictional character, but also because he was a real guy, he has his historical traits applied to him. It's great. I love it. There is some other interesting stuff about Dante, though. I didn't mention it before, but I do mention it when I do new servant deets. But he is not limited. He is actually story locked. He will be unlocked after Ordeal Call 4. So,
oh,
that Yeah, in the story pool. So that is an interesting one about pretenderizing. So maybe my joke about, ruler secretly being pretender will actually come back.
Maybe. Might be something more hell related as well.
Well, we're pretty sure that demon lady from the preview is going to show up, so it makes sense.
Well, I don't know where else she's going to show up. Because we got Bima for 1, and then we got Callie for 2. 3 was not actually 3, so they didn't have a surprise there. So that only leaves 4, I would say.
Also for Audio Call 2, it was because the Durga Kali banner was also on Audio Call 1. It was Count Cagliostro.
Yeah, and that's what I meant by Callie, because I can't remember how to say Cagliostro.
And you can't say the Count because that would be confusing.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
When did we get summonable Beatrice?
I do like having more couples in my Chaldea. It gives me joy.
Beatrice would be also another great example of pretender. Very funny because obviously Beatrice was modeled after a real woman Dante, met a couple of times, but also she's very clearly a metaphor in the Divine Comedy.
So, yeah, no, I think that's all we can really say on that. So let us move on. Sorry, I'm just looking at my PlayStation thing, and I'm looking at the hours. It says I have 215 hours on Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm like, that cannot be right.
Oh, God, have you had it open in the background?
Well, I turn off, I put my PS5 in the rest mode. That should stop it, right?
Counting? Yeah, probably.
I don't leave, I leave Monster Hunter Wilds open. I probably leave it open longer than I should, but it's only been out a couple weeks.
Mine also seems a little longer.
Hang
than
on
normal.
one second.
It says 53 hours. Okay, my microphone's directional enough. That's not picking.
Sorry,
up.
I'm
My
checking
TV's
something
extra
right
loud.
here.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm also literally logging into Monster Hunter Wilds right now. I'm going to check my playtime.
Okay, yeah. So it came out on the 28th. I got it on the 28th. It is the 8th now. So that's been, I'm just going to say 8 days.
Well, guess what? So my character's playtime is 47 hours, which is probably not correct. Probably should shave off 10 of that maybe. But my PS5 says I've played 53 hours, so it added 6 hours somewhere.
Is it adding the beta time?
Is it adding the beta time?
Because I just checked. 8 days at 24 hours is 192 hours.
Yeah, there's no way it's a 200. That has to be adding both the beta list times. That does sound about right for me. Played both betas, probably about 6 hours.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay. That is true. I did get my, my beta rewards and stuff. So, okay, but still, that's weird. I don't like that.
Big numbie.
Still, even so, that means this game has been counting. This game has been said that I have had this game open the entire fucking time, and that is incorrect. I put my PS5 into rest mode. It should not be counting that time.
Yeah.
Again, this is why I really like 16s, Yeah, if you step away for a bit, we'll just pause the timer, y'all. There you go.
16 had so many good features. Everybody fucking joking about real-time lore. I know y'all want that button.
But let us move on.
Yep.
So, this next one comes from the Tyrant King, now being the gif of Majin Buu staring at the hourglass, waiting until Tiamat comes out in about 2 weeks. Oh boy, howdy. Actually, speaking of Majins, you should probably if you get a chance, you should finish up Daima. It's actually over. It only has 20 episodes. It was short and sweet and very good in my opinion. I liked it. Lucky did not realize that when he made the early comparison of it's GT but better, it was actual literal.
It seems to be the sentiment. Sorry, I stepped away for a sec to go blow my nose, but I apparently rotated my head so hard that I yoinked one of my the earbud left. The little rubber tip did not.
Oh.
So I was a little bamboozled for a second, but yes, we're in. No, it seems like the people making the GT comparison. There was also a very funny meme that even though I'm not caught up at all in the series, still back in episode 1, one joke did penetrate the internet and was very funny about Vegeta trying to hog all the fights until Bulma tells him, "Let the others fight or we're not bathing together anymore," and he immediately stops.
Nah, it's great.
Some people trying to be like, yo, this guy whipped, and I'm like, fuck yeah. Have you seen
Guys,
Bulma?
you don't understand. Like, Bulma is literally like the single most important female character in the like in the entire series. Like, no, she commands power and respect, y'all. Don't let her attitude fool you.
Listen, my girl tell me to hold up. I would do it. I'd be like, all right, friends, I'm out. I got stuff to do. Goku out here, not sure what kissing his wife is.
But yeah, check out Daima if you haven't had the chance to. It's pretty good.
God, I have so much.
The Shuri is short, sweet, doesn't overstay its welcome, has good animation. It's quite amusing and funny. Like I said, the Vegeta joke is it's pretty fucking peak, especially because when she says it, he just kind of turns around. We go into the shocked coloring. He's just like, and just immediately just capitulates. It's great. It's so good.
He knows what's up. Yeah, I have a backlog of several things to catch up on. Fucking Disney Plus launched a new Daredevil series. Like the first 2 episodes are out, and they kept the some of the actors from the Netflix series. So
that's good.
And what I've heard is the first couple episodes are pretty good. So it's like I need to sit down and catch up on a lot of stuff. But I've been monster hunting.
Monster hunting, be real hunty. So this person goes on to say, "Hey guys, since we now have the Dante, how likely now that Lilith is the poster girl for OC4? Also, have we ever gotten a Gnosis story about Type Moon angels and demons before? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending good vibes. Wah 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 wah. Your way, and hope you have a great evening." I feel like we've talked about angels and demons in the Gnosis before. I'm pretty sure that was a Teach Me Omega Senpai segment at one point, but I don't think it's ever actually been something mainline.
I don't think it's actually been a focal point of a story yet. It's one of those things that like other characters will like exposit about, usually in reference to some other condition, like the angel relic in LB7, or a couple of times talking about, quote unquote true demons has come up in some other works of like, no, the normal demons you meet, those aren't real demons. Those are like, fake spirits coming up from human stories. Real demons are real fucked up. This guy is almost like a real demon. But I don't actually think we've ever actually seen any real ass demons as a result. So yeah, no. Maybe we will get that conclusion. Sorry, I'm fighting my yawnies a little bit.
He's fighting the yawnies.
I had a really bad case where I silently yawned when I accidentally licked the pop filter. Wasn't great.
Ugh.
Yeah, had to drink some water after that one. It's not recommended.
4 out of 5 doctors would agree. Also, Lucky is still really coping that, the devilish looking brat is Lilith. Like I said, we don't know. Lucky will not say that he does know. Lucky just hopes it is so. Like I said, it's like what the idea that Dante will be story locked after OC4 definitely feels that we're probably going to get something hell related, which I think makes sense because if we're going back to like the OG rules, OG rulers were always supposed to be saints, which is a rule that was, I think, really quickly broken in fucking FGO. God, no, technically, Ruler Martha doesn't break that rule because she is a saint.
Yeah, she is a saint. I think when they talked about ruler lore, it was already established that, like, Martha is a writer because she has Tarask, but also qualified as a ruler. That's why they were able to do the holiday switch.
Let's see, when did we get our first? Or actually, let me check that.
To the wiki. Yeah, John was in the game from the start, but she was pre-established.
Yes. Our first ruler was John, then it was Ankama Shio, who was an apocryphal saint, so, I still say counts. Ruler Martha, and then Sherlock Holmes.
Which, to be fair, like, when his, like, summon banner came out, they had to, like, do a trial quest to explain why he was ruler all of a sudden, rather than caster, which is what he first appeared as.
Yeah. And then we get Shishi Wong, and then Summer Cats, Estrella, Bunny Artoria, Himiko. I think Himiko could probably qualify as a saint in her own way.
She is, a semi-mythic character. I guess, like, Estrella and Amor Karen are, like, they're loose, but they work a little because they are at least, like, goddesses, which you could consider to be balanced out.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And let's see, because
but like
Io, Popus Johanna,
is a
Melusine ruler. Oh, Kenshin's a ruler? Wow.
Yeah. That's our event later this year, so I don't presumably we'll be explaining that one.
Yes, but if we're going with standard ruler rules, god damn. They're supposed to be saints, so I'm assuming that OC4 is going to have something biblical in nature. Well, not like directly biblical, because we can't, that's probably stepping on a few too many toes, and some people don't like that. But biblically adjacent. So yes, no, Dante, probably Lilith, deal with a lot of the saints. I'm actually curious about if John ever will really talk about her time fighting in the war. Because in that Memories video, they showed her fighting with angels, and some of the dudes she was traveling looked like they were some really jacked up knights.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those weird cases where if we take the possibility of fate being open-ended literally, Jeanne d'Arc, Joan of Arc, allegedly, heard God, and several other previous saints. It actually has mentioned that the sword she carries, that she would occasionally beat up camp followers with the flat of, was supposed to be it was called the Sword of Saint Catherine because, according to Jeanne, she heard a message from the canonized Saint Catherine telling her where a sword was buried under a church, and she dug it up and was like, sick, a sword. Which I will not use to hit people, but it's even without accounting for anything supernatural going on, Joan of Arc's story is already pretty wild in just the context of the French were getting their asses kicked until a literal French farm girl shows up and just says, yo, I hear the voice of God. He says, if you follow me, we'll win. My king of France, give me a banner because I don't want to do any violence.
And it almost worked.
Yeah, honestly, I think it was working up until some of the French aristocracy got kind of jealous.
Pissed?
Yeah, that this random kid was being so influential. Handed it over to the English to burn her as a witch.
Oh, I love how they fucking tried to, what was her trial? Her trials were something else as well. You should actually look into them. They tried to capture her in logic traps and whatnot, and this farmer peasant girl was able to bait theology with their church's top men and just confuddle them. It was nuts. Oh.
So yeah, I agree. I would love to. I mean, that's kind of what I'm hoping for out of Ordeal Calls, which does kind of seem like the direction they're going in to actually examine some of these extra classes that just have kind of been added to FGO without a lot of fanfare and explanation,
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Ruler has technically been with us since the beginning, presumably because they knew. Actually, no, we did launch with Orleans, right? Yeah. So it was the prologue in chapter 1. So at least I think we had up to Septum. It's been a long time.
Yeah, no, we started with John. John was a launch character. She was the only ruler.
Well, and I was about to say, it makes sense that they had to make sure she was coded because they needed the ruler mechanics for the original Jolter boss fight. Yes, that's right. There were no Avengers when the game launched, and there was a mandatory story ruler boss. Yes, it was kind of a pain in the ass back in the day. We had to use a lot of Berserkers, and we had to like it because she had a fucking AoE NP.
God, I don't know if people remember it's probably not a problem now, but one of Marie Antoinette's first interludes had you fight a Robespierre with 1 million HP. Back in the day, that was fucking rough.
Was that Mary or was that Chevalier Dion? Either way, it was one of the Frenchies, and yes, it was Robespierre's ghost who has 1 million HP. I think you're supposed to you're either supposed to stall it out or use instant death, but it fucking sucked.
But
yeah, we could use a little more filling in.
Oh, OC4 is going to be in Italy? Interesting.
I assume that's what the background text in some of the previews hints at, because there's a few of those things out there. As always, because they did the thing where they blanked out a couple letters of Dubai. The actual Dubai thing was also other moon bullshit. So, but that is actually the servant Dante's thing. It talks about how, funny enough, talking about having weak wishes for the Grail. He talks about his desire for the Grail is his original wish would have been for a united Italy, but because that did actually already happen, he would just probably wish for it to continue. So he's kind of got a himself a loosey-goosey wish.
No, it is interesting. I'm excited. I am excited that for whenever we actually get there. But we still got a whiles.
Yeah.
For both JP and definitely for us over here in the English.
Yeah, I would expect, what is it, March? So probably not until, I want to say, May at the earliest we'll get OC4 in Japan.
Ooh.
Like, I would expect, given that they are setting up for it with Dante, they're planning on launching it before anniversary as kind of the, middle of the year story event.
Mm-hmm.
But that still has a lot of wiggle room. And we don't, it could be April, but I don't know what the Golden Week collab's going to be.
Everyone's saying it's going to be Strange Fake, and I see no reason to dissuade them of that.
That is, I think, one of our two strong ones.
Yeah.
Especially since, while there was a very Perseus-looking silhouette, we did figure out that the spear that it looked like he was holding was actually Bishone's spear. Because she's very short, we didn't see her in the silhouettes. Tiny-ass snake woman.
Tiny-ass snake woman.
Gorgon, big snake woman. Bishone, small snake woman. But it could hypothetically be April. That might work with, like, the story lock stuff, but also, like I said, I genuinely don't know.
Anyway. But, as always, we can only say, we will see. We try not to get too hard into the predictions, as more often than not, we are wrong.
Fucking, they hit us with the fucking zinger. We'll be fucking saying it's gonna be the Strange Fate collab, and then NASA will be like, "Hey, remember I wrote that story about that short story about the moon once? Anyway, Tsuki no Sango collab," and we'll just be like, "What?
What?"
He'll get us somehow.
Just waiting for it to be the fucking Carnival Phantasm collab. Just get crazy.
I was originally gonna say notes, actually, chat, but I had to go one step further beyond of ludicrousness. Though I guess technically the fucking I sorta was already about as obscure as Tsuki no Sango. It's crazy. Anyway, we should continue Mailbag.
We're gonna do. Sorry, no, I'm just thinking. I can't remember the name of it, but it was that special where they got a bunch of it was the Koha Ace special. Yes, we're gonna have the Koha Ace collab now, and we're gonna get Primordial Eve and fucking
Diogenes.
Yes,
give me Grappler Diogenes.
Probably make him a writer, but I don't know.
Diogenes Berserker. One of his skills has to be behold a man. Actually, no, that should be an animation where he shouts out "Behold a man," and a Vorpal chicken comes out and kicks the enemy.
I would love to unleash chickens upon my enemy.
You guys don't, man. If you don't know about Diogenes, you gotta check that guy out. Fucking wild. Would have a great relationship with Iskander as well. Where Diogenes, I believe, was the philosopher who, living in his barrel outside of time, was visited by Alexander the Great, who reportedly said, "You're in my light."
Well, the story goes on a little bit lurdy, but Alexander, I believe he was asking something of him, and that's what he wanted in return. And Diogenes says, I request that you get out of my light. So no, the absolute aura on this man. It's great. Oh. But yes, enough of the fapping. Actually, what's the mission clock at, Omega?
Oh, we're over an hour. We're like at an hour 10.
All right, cool. So we are continuing to continue on.
We're doing pretty good. I mean, as we usually do when we've got a decently sized mailbag and not a lot of other crazy stuff to talk about.
Yeah. So we move on. This next one comes from, I got to say it this way. The John. They say, "Hi, how are you? I am okay." After going, B7, how messed up do you think Ritsukua's, plural, afterlife is going to be? On one hand, they have saved the world multiple times. On the other, they have indirectly killed a lot of people as well. Also have a lot of deities in love with them and a lot that hate them. Thank you. Have a nice day. I don't know. Well, because here's the interesting things. As much as we talk about deities and stuff, whatnot, they are still deities bound to a specific summoning system. I do not believe they necessarily have the same power they do as a servant they do have in the real world, as Magecraft has dwindled to where they are more limited, I want to say.
Yeah.
Not also to say that their effects, we go with that rule that servants may not remember especially their summoning and whatnot, and we do not know how that goes for deities. It is a very weird situation to be in.
I mean, if I was Fujiwara Ritsuka, fucking retire immediately. Cash out that hazard pay. I'm gonna go live in the fucking mountains somewhere, man.
I think they're talking about like his afterlife, but
Well,
no, like
it's like. Well, first of all, somebody in chat said Throne of Heroes got dibs. Like, no, your ass is going straight to the record. Do you? I mean, I know they've fucked us over a little bit, but do you think Elias still gets to call Counter Guardian dibs after the amount of servants they've fed us?
I don't know. I still think you have to make a contract with the world, because that is how it was with specifically Emiya.
As Emiya Shiro could not fight a nuclear reactor.
No. So we'll probably get that job offer. Don't know if we would take it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There are a couple cases where there are some underworld type things that show up, but like you said, mystery's pretty degraded. So I think most people just kind of, go back to the swirl of consciousness and reincarnation,
But if we're talking about like Rizka, like after all this shit's get resolved, it's probably gonna be, erase my name, erase my photos. I did not exist. Goodbye forever. I am gonna go, stare into the middle distance for the rest of my fucking life because
they're gonna become the whatchamacallit, gonna become the new man from Chaldea. Just put on the red cloak, wander the world.
Honestly, probably, yeah, I can see that. Like, cause like here's the thing we're talking about. Like, after like experiencing all this, you just can't go back to a normal life. You have seen and doing too much stuff. You have hung out with God, like even if there's servants, you have hung out with like the greatest figures of history. How can you go to a normal person and just be all like, yeah, hi?
I mean, that's the thing, talking about like the fucking ceiling designation, right? That's where like the clock tower scoops your ass up for special shit.
Yeah.
You retire to the mountains, and Waver shows up at your door one day, and he's like, "I'm putting a team together." Smoke cigar.
And I think the crazy thing with Riska was like, yeah, I knew you were always like that. It's like we've never met before, so you think? It's like, it's so weird to think about. But I like that's one of the reasons I am kind of excited that the story is in. I want to see what our fucking denouement is. I want to see like what does happen, like. Because I'm not against having an FGO2 / Part 3. I would like to continue this journey. I would like to keep seeing things, experiencing it, and having Nasu write things that make me cry. But I feel like we need to get out of like this section and actually kind of do a soft reset of the story.
Yeah, we got stuff to conclude.
Yeah, we need to conclude things, bring things back to zero, and stop our system of escalation so we can get back on track. Lower the stakes back down to something less fantastical and phantasmal, and be able to take things from a little bit more adult perspective. I think, like it's been come up that Ritsuka is isn't exactly how sure how old he is. He doesn't drink now because it seems like it'd be weird to do it right now. Doesn't partake in any of those other things. So like FGO is like. It came out, 2014? 15?
Yeah, yes.
I can't remember.
15.
Yeah, no, so what's going on, we're going on to our 10th anniversary. There are people who could have, started playing this when they were 8, be, full-fledged adults now.
Well, I feel like Nasu has actually, talked about that in interviews about, like they've had jokes with him and Takuji talking about, the people who started playing FGO when it launched in, high school or middle school are, real-ass adults now with jobs. That's how long this game has been going around. And that is something special, but also, like you said, their stories do need to conclude. You have to, put a wrap on them. And you can have continuations, you can have sequels. And there are some stories that can be serialized. FGO is not a serialized story.
No.
It is not written like a James Bond adventure where, the story concludes, but Fujiwara Ritsuka will return in... kind of shit. It is not actually written like a classic serial.
So, again, no, I don't I think about this. I would love a Part 3 / FGO2, but I think everyone needs to. Sit. We need to stop, think. Maybe. Reassess what they want what they want from the story.
God, you said
maybe
two things, and my fucking brain was like, first you said stop, and I was like, listen. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. And then you said think, and I had to be like, hear, feel. This is me. I'm just remembering music and Final Fantasy 14. I mean, that could get a little dry, but that would be a good thing to do, is to like, especially if people like want to jump into the story for like because it's concluded or getting back for the conclusion. Rerunning events that we didn't rerun because like, well, they weren't super popular, could be a thing to go through.
It's true.
We'll see what they do. They have plans, but also they have like actually talked about like that the game will probably still be open through year 11.
But they're getting tired, y'all.
Yeah, no. No. And it's because like I would genuinely want to say, like, talking about Nasu, right? Great writer, wonderful guy. I think he throws his entire ass into everything he works on. He's never half-assed anything in his life, which is kind of his fucking problem because like he refuses to half-ass any project, which means that he has a lot of projects in the backlog. There's supposed to be a second half of the Tsukihime remake sometime this decade, I'm pretty sure. But if he's working like full-time on the conclusion of FGO, he's probably not writing Tsukihime. And I believe that's why several of the early Lostbelts were written by the guest crew, was because that was literally, they did Epic of Remnant and then they did the first couple Lostbelts to like give him the space to write the first half of the Tsukihime remake. And then, some of the other times, like I think the 0.5 chapters existed because, well, there was a health break he had to take in there as well. But I think that genuinely, like, it's because Nasu needs time off between like writing the really big hitters of like 5, 6, 7,
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, he needs to take a little bit of a break, and that the whole crew is like they're I think everybody at Lasangalo and Type Moon is throwing everything they got at like FGO, because obviously it's got a big memento, of like they understand as well. This is a project, some of them have been working on for 10 years. But it definitely is like I said, Takuchi is like the art director and stuff, has said that like, I think he's trying to caution people to not like lead to a game ending crash of like, hey, like the game will be on at least through like the 11th year. We've got our plans for the 10th year. And honestly, we've got plans for like year 11, but the story of part 2 concludes this year. I think, like I said, I don't know what their next step is. I would totally recommend an EOR style like break of like maybe some catch-up stories or some side stories, or like just get all their weird event trends they've tried to finish out there. Like, should there be like an actual grand finale GudaGuda? There's a lot of story elements we've had that are recurring too.
Oh man, sorry, I was just thinking about it. Like, it's like I want their like the year 11 summer to be like the year 11 summer event, just to be like summer vacation and it's ending. You gotta get back to the real world now. Post the Roxas gif. The one. There's a lot of stuff about that.
Oh yeah, Chad had
see
it.
Something. We don't necessarily know what they're gonna do, but I'm excited. I am excited. I am both excited and dreaded. But let's not dwell over much on such things and move on. This next one comes from nobody, who says, "No questions, only vibes. Not good vibes though, just vibes. Have a good day/night. It is currently 7 p.m. for me, which means it's 10 p.m. for Megas, so we are clearly in the night zone. Especially since it is still March, which means it is still more dark than not. We'll be hitting that spring pretty soon, though.
Hope it gets a little warmer, but it was a little cold today.
Yeah.
Had to warm up, cooked a pizza.
But
I will say, whoever was working the pizza machine this time, hit the oregano a little too hard. Always a possibility when you get a pre-made frozen pizza, but we went a little ham. It's okay, I'll live, but sometimes you don't want to be picking oregano out of your teeth.
So, finally, we move on to last but not least. It is Agent 418 who says, "Hello, Lucky Omega. I'm going to celebrate my birthday, so hope you all have a good weekend. Sending party vibes. I wish I had the fucking streamer sound. Just the the one
party, party blower, yeah.
Yeah, the party blower. Happy birthday." But yes, happy birthday, Agent 416. Many happy returns of the day. And we hope you have many more. But that is it for this week. Let's Talk FGO Mailbag. Thank you very much for everyone who submitted in, and hopefully we'll see you again in the next one.
Yep. All right. That means it's time for Call Day of Free Talk. Let's do CBC first impressions because that'll probably be shorter. I know you said you're a little behind.
I think I've only done like a couple sections, so I think I'm like really behind. How many sections are out right now?
We should be at, because there's a prologue, we should be at part 3? Maybe
yeah, I think I'm only
4?
like part 1. I just burnt down a factory. I don't remember what part
fairly
that
in
is.
there. But like I said, it's literally like the classic 7 chapters prologue epilogue thing. So it's not super long. But yes, as discussed previously, this is literally a sequel to a previous GudaGuda event. Technically, I think it was the GudaGuda from 2 years ago was Lancer Ryoma. I mean, it's more like a year and a half because it was late year, but yeah. No, it is literally a sequel. And I think I said this in the one talking about other weird things. I was like, yeah, if you didn't play that event, you may have a hard time. Hopefully they do like a recap or something. Indeed, they did. Good idea. They had a little recap movie at the start. But yeah, we're going back to Saitama. Takasugi Shinsaku shows up again. He's still kind of a
shady motherfucker.
Yes. Shifty guy. We are assigned a eclectic crew. I did actually see some of our people in our Discord talking about this, and I kind of agree that, I do kind of feel like, I know GudaGuda is kind of built on, recurring tropes, but I feel like in general, FGO has a couple of, character beats that I wish he would stop doing. I wish Emiya Alter would stop working against us, even though he's secretly working for us all the time. He does this every fucking time. Please, just stop it. And also, just don't include Nobu if we're gonna keep sidelining Nobu. I am glad that it's Kipposhi who's getting kind of the focus, but we're also, like I said, still kind of sidelining them a little. But other than that, seems to be doing pretty good. We've got, Sasaki Kojiro and Old Man Hector on our side for the most part, and we obviously add Shinsaku.
I am glad that we're getting some Kojiro and Hector love here. Like I said, they're fun characters.
I feel
Kojiro is always entertaining because
Yes.
he's supposed to be kind of this badass samurai, and he's all like, I like farming, and behold, Molotov cocktails. It's just
Yeah, but we still get to blow his mind, Shinsaku's mind about him being like, oh yeah, check out this ore. You should see his ore technique, and he's like he's all humble and stuff. But yeah, I do like Kojiro's always had that vibe in Fate, but I do like that, they let him shine. I honestly, Hector needs to get a costume and just put him in a suit, because I feel like that's what his vibe is, talking about going out for a smoke and stuff, is he is kind of I feel like he is, we're starting a company, right? That's kind of our vibe. We're doing some down and dirty business. He does kind of feel like your older mentor at work type character, right?
Yep.
He is the office senpai type guy, taking smoke breaks. Man, I'm too old for this shit kind of stuff. But it's great to kind of touch on some points, and I'm guessing we'll get some interesting back and forth between Yoshida Shihoin and Takasugi. Like I mentioned in the wanted I mentioned earlier, that was they are in fact, as shown in this, Shihoin was Shinsaku's teacher. He went to normal samurai school and didn't like it, so he attended a private academy where Shihoin was teaching basically an early version of the expel the barbarians, revere the emperor type philosophy. It wasn't actually called Sono Joi yet, but he was kind of that philosophy. And hey, guess what? The Tokugawa didn't like that and had him rounded up and executed. It's funny, I mentioned this in the wanted, but the Bakumatsu period, then into the Meiji Restoration, is so interesting because it seems like it should be just a normal kind of story of changing times and political unrest, but also it keeps having these moments of yes, and Yoshida Shihoin was arrested after he tried to assassinate a Tokugawa counselor who he didn't like, and it's just guys, come on. It seems perfectly normal, evolving political philosophies, and then, like I said, and then somebody just decides to try and, assassinate, Sakamoto Ryoma, at an inn, right? he's minding his own business and some guys show up to cap him, and it's like, damn. It's funny like that, but yeah. Sorry about that. There was a little pingus of a completely unnecessary Windows security alert. Windows security telling me that they haven't found anything lately. Thanks. But yeah, no. So like all in all, writing's good. It's GudaGuda, so like we have some of these more, more serious moments, but also we have a lot of gags. We've fucking gone back to Manju again. So yeah, interested to see how it plays out. Now please hold. I'm gonna kill my mic for a second so I can blow my nose.
Yarp.
And see, once again, speaking about the audio balancing, there I had to physically turn my mic off because otherwise, if I just muted in Discord, that would just spare the Discord, not the podcast listeners. All right, but that's much better. But yeah, so we're still a little early, and like I said, I could be like an episode behind. I've been trying to keep up on my farming, but it is sometimes hard to tell. You do got to actually hit point thresholds to get in there, but it's good. And like I said, it's fun to me that like we decided to do a full-assed sequel event in the CBC slot. It's fun. That means we should do... Stretching my neck. New servant deets.
Yeah.
Dante. It's Dante. And this is where I put in my notes. This one is going to go nuts in 2 years, let me tell you. I took a short, like 1/3 of a semester long seminar course in college on just Inferno. Okay, guys? Like, I'm armed for this. I have a copy of Inferno that is like double page printed so you can see the English translation on one side and the original Italian on the other. I'm locked in, chat. No, Dante's great. I love Dante because of the sheer audacity. Well, first of all, you want to talk about like, fucked up gothic shit. His depictions of hell are really visceral and interesting from a theological perspective. Purgatory and heaven are much more esoteric, so they're not as cool. Everybody, usually just reads Inferno, and the Purgatorio and Paradiso are usually less interesting. But also, the sheer balls of this man to throw people he doesn't like in hell, but also put people he liked in hell. Fucking, I think it's the Circle of Frauds, is where people are, placed in burning wells, and he put, the then current pope in there, head first, yelling at the pope before him in the same well. Guy's nuts. Also very funny that, but also talking about some of his shortcomings, it's very funny that as an author, Dante didn't know how to do a lot of scene transition, so he usually made Dante the character just faint. Dante the character passes out from terror a lot. But yes, I mentioned this earlier, Dante the Servant is future story logs to Ordeal Call 4. He is an SSR pretender. He seems to be on the bigger HP, lower attack side. He is quick, 2 arts, 2 buster. Bubba. Normal hits and average NP gain. He's 0.49 NP, I believe, and is 4s in the right places. So again, pretty normal stuff. So, his NP is pretty fun. He's AoE arts, and he gets 50% damage up versus the Heaven attribute on Heaven battlefields, and also 50% damage up versus the Earth attribute on Hell fields. Both of these are separate buffs that proc first for 1 turn. It's also 2k curse damage. Oh, and I realize I wrote this a few days ago. I forgot to jot down how long that lasts. It's probably 3 turns, but let's double check. But it's 2k curse damage flat. Yeah, 5 turns. Okay. Makes sense because it is flat. It is also automatic charge down on all enemies. All enemies, 1 charge. Get out of here. And the overcharge effect increases his NP damage first for 3 turns. This is the platonic ideal of an arts NP. Multiple trait damages, curse, charge down, boosts NP with overcharge first, so you're supposed to loop that shit. It's 20 to 40%, by the way, chat. So, still pretty good. Also, the name of it is literally the Abandon All Hope Ye Who Enter Here. So, we're having fun. And also, in case you didn't know, yes, Dante originated that. That's what he says is written over the gates to hell. But yeah, pretty fun one. And we'll get a little into, like I said, to that heaven or hell battlefield effect in a second. His first skill is pretty normal. It's basically a projection. He gets 10 to 20% on all card colors for 3 turns. It also gives him a flat 1 time 3 turns 1k guts. So the guts doesn't scale up, but he does have a guts. The second skill, so follow me on this, chat. It's always 10 to 20 stars, but then it lets you pick heaven or hell. Let's rock. So you literally pick heaven or hell and get the following effect. It makes the battlefield, that type for 5 turns. and also has extra buffs. So if you pick Heaven, that's 10 to 20% arts up and 33% crit up for the whole team for 3 turns, and is also 1k heal per turn for 3 turns, team-wide. So, team buffs. It's great. If you pick Hell, that's a 10 to 20% buster up, a 20 to 30% NP damage up for team, and is also 10% NP per turn for self for 3 turns. So slightly more selfish, but both absolutely have their merits in addition to just setting up his trait damage effect. But for his final skill, this party's getting crazy. It's a 30 to 50% battery on himself. So he's an arts AoE NP servant who wants to loop with a 50% battery. Easiest shit in the world. But also it gives him 7 stacks of Brands of Sin. Each Brand of Sin stack is minus 10% debuff resist. So watch out for that. But every time he attacks, he will remove an enemy's latest buff. If he removes a buff, that removes 1 stack and gives him 10% attack for 3 turns. Also, if a Guts he has triggers, that removes a stack of Sin and gives him the 10% attack for 3 turns.
Jesus.
So it's kind of a cost benefit thing. Like if you're fighting a boss fight, which is going to involve a lot of debuffs, you're going to want to be careful about just fire and forgetting this skill, because you're going to have a fucking minus 70% debuff resist. And keep in mind, these are technically a demerit, so you can't avoid them with debuff immune, and they are unremovable except by Dante's own effects.
Oh, okay.
So you can't debuff cleanse them. But if you can feed him enough guts and get him attacking enemies who have buffs, there are a lot of, buff removable enemies. I think we literally talked about how Camazotz is in LB7 of you could do some funny things there. This can get him quite a lot of attack up, so you have a lot of damage potential. And like I said, it works not just when he attacks, but also on a guts trigger, so you can make that work out. His passives are just independent action B+ for passive crit damage, and territory creation D++. So he has a very tiny amount of arts up. So Pretender now has an art sweeper with some stall. Seems great. He's got some funny mechanics here. Like I said, you get to pick his battlefield type, and that actually gives you different buffs, which can work with single target DPSers and so on. Because like I said, if you pick Heaven, that's arts up for the whole team. If you pick Hell, it's buster for the whole team. Different stuff like that. If you are doing arts effects, the fact that it also gives you a 1k heal per turn is great for stalling. So he's good in the grind game. But also, if you just, put all the blue steroids on him, he should be a pretty good AoE sweeper, because the way Pretender class advantage works, just feeding your alter egos. And yes, the patron chat pointed this out. His Bond C also, first of all, it gives him 30% NP damage up permanently whenever. But also, when he crits, he removes a Brand of Sin as well. So, that can mean that you are getting extra damage removals and extra attacks up. So, should be pretty big stonks. Also, I've seen the work. Beautiful animations. Love the references to Gustave Doré. His Doré's engravings are very famous, going with the whole Divine Comedy. But yeah, great servant. A lot of his Ascension arts are real cool, and just having a lot of sick fun. All right, we're back.
We've decided to make tacos tomorrow.
Taco Sunday doesn't have quite the same ring to it, but it works. So I have a slightly itchy nose, chat. But yes, that was the Dante. Looks sick. Having a great deal of fun.
Sick. Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of Free Talk, and enter at about an hour 45-ish of the raw mission clock. Actually, I think we can just say the mission clock is the part before we edit. To what's up? I only got one actually jotted down note here, which is Monster Hunter. I can briefly say, because as a different aside, keeping up with some current stuff. Another game that did come out recently, I think it was a couple days ago now, was Hazelight Studios' new game, Split Fiction.
Oh, huh.
Yep, did actually come out. I've seen a little bit of gameplay. It looks really good. It's kind of still in their same style as the duo games. You kind of expect this from the studio that did It Takes Two and Brothers and A Way Out. It's kind of their thing. But I've seen the gameplay and it looks pretty good. Like the different kind of like worlds and bouncing back and forth seems pretty all right. And it seems like a good time. I say we should probably like keep an eye out, like if it goes up free on like PS Plus or something, that could be a good stream game.
Okay.
From what I've seen of the early story, it seems very generalized. It has what I would call, what J.R.R. Tolkien would call applicability. The simulation device that is simulating all these authors' stories is literally called the Machine. So like it feels a little on the nose. At first I was like, is this a metaphor for like large language models and like AI scraping? But then I was like, no, honestly, this is a metaphor for anything. Anytime you feel like as a creative, the machine is like juicing all your ideas out, is probably what this is a metaphor for. So, like I said, haven't seen the ending or anything. It seems like it's a decently long game, like probably like 10 to 15 hours range, depending on how good you are at video games.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got a little more self-awareness, I think, than some of the previous stories. Like the two character authors are like literally making references to other like pop culture properties when they talk about stuff. Like there's a sandy level where you do some sand sliding and they like literally call, think about, the sands of time, and people are like, Prince of Persia. There are a couple other references I saw, so looks neat. We'll keep an eye on it.
Okay.
But the big thing is now out for a full week. Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter, monster, the monster gets you and you're gone.
Boy, do they get you, and you do get gone. Chad, have you ever been blasted by the railgun face of a giant wyvern reduced to atoms? I have. Radau hurts, man.
Yeah, but also, have you taken a greatsword and just completely no-sold that ray gun? Just guarding through it?
Any guarding weapons. But it is pretty fun. Perfect dodging is also pretty sick when you just like see it coming and you're just like, nope, get me out of here.
Nah, feels good.
And I think that's ultimately what we can say. No matter what, game feel good.
Yeah,
good video games are good.
Good video games are good, even if people don't want to fucking admit it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to start in more of a negative space, but there is some buzz going around. It is probably to be expected because no matter what anyone says, this is Capcom's biggest launch for Monster Hunter ever.
Probably means it has the most eyes on it.
Yeah, it means the most people, for good or ill, are taking a crack at it, both new people and old people, because they sold like 8 million copies already, which is great.
Yeah.
So, they're killing it. It's successful. No matter what people say, it is a success. But, like, as I've come to learn with lots of video games, but definitely I think a lot of these longer-running franchises have this permanent cycle. Like, everybody knows about Zelda cycle. Everybody knows how, like, Final Fantasy is. Monster Hunter, I think we can throw into those big franchises of, like, when a new one comes out, there's always something to say or complain about. Everybody will always say it's too easy, even though, yes, of course, low rank is easy. This is literally my first Monster Hunter, and I say low rank was easy. I did not cart once throughout low rank. So, like, that not even, like, fail a quest. Literally did not faint once. So, like, yeah, no, it's easy. It's supposed to be easy. It's a glorified tutorial.
Yeah.
And that seems to be part of the point of contention. I personally think that the game design of low rank is good. I've heard, and, Lucky, feel free to chime in with your long-standing experience with this franchise, but generally, Monster Hunter is not super story-focused.
No.
Good.
I guess I want to say, I don't mean that. I guess they're a little bit better about setting up maybe some lore, reasons why you're there, but usually once you get to a location, you are tasked with investigating some big something there, and you investigate it by going around beating up a bunch of monsters. In that regards, Wild is kind of doing the same formula, except that we actually have characters now. We actually have characters with names. Monster Hunter before, people would just be known as Blacksmith, Ace Hunter. There's a lot of people going around saying that Gemma is a character that was previously seen in, I think it was 4? I'm pretty sure it was 4. But her name in that game was Little Miss Forge. Like, characters were not so much as characters or so much as
roles.
Roles, yes.
Whereas in this game, yes, they are still roles, but they do have character. Obviously, your Hunter is only ever called Hunter in dialogue because you can enter your own name. But like, I feel like Olivia, distinct character. I get her vibe. She is also, a senior Hunter, so she's kind of like the character doing all the same shit that you're doing, just over there.
I did not know you could actually do SOSs to get NPC support hunters.
Yeah, I'm still like working through my backlog of like all the optionals for guys I've unlocked. I basically almost always fire the SOS flare immediately just because that makes it go faster. If players don't answer your call, which sometimes they don't, guess what? Some people don't want to farm some shit. The game has a roster of NPC hunters who show up. It's usually the same 3 guys, but it's always in a different order. So Olivia will show up. She's actually in some dialogue. Rossa will show up, and
Rossa.
What's the other girl's name?
Alessa.
Yes, Alessa.
I believe it
Thank
is.
you. And they kind of show up with like their own choice of a couple of weapons. They have a couple of normal combat barks, and when players do eventually decide to join you, they will phase out, much like your Palico will leave after you get your third person. But yeah, so like if you were running this game in like single player, right, and not entering lobbies and not necessarily like getting like multiplayer help with hunts, you would just see this support crew constantly with you. So like they're recurring characters even if they aren't super well detailed.
No, that's rad.
Yeah, so like the whole thing has an actual arc, and that was the thing I was going to say earlier, which is like another thing is like you said, is this one also seems much more, I don't want to say necessarily character driven, but character focused. Like, you are an actual character. The hunter has a vibe about them.
You're a veteran. You have seen some shit. You might have lost some shit, but you're good at what you do.
Yeah. And you are the ace. Like, it's spelled out in the opening cutscenes that like you are the person the hunting guild picked to send on this mission to a previously unexplored area. They picked a couple, and you are the one who's like, I guess, spearheading this because you are the hunter they introduced to Alma and Nata. So like, you are kind of the ass kicker name taker, and you feel like it. Your character literally bleeds once in the story at the end. It's pretty cool. Also, in general, the cutscenes are hype as fuck. I don't know what people are saying. Some people do not like this new story focus. Personally, I think I see what Capcom's going for, and I like it. Obviously, they aimed this to be their most like hyped Monster Hunter launch ever, right?
Right.
Like, they have put the marketing, they ran the open betas, they were at, like, trade shows and PlayStation, events and stuff, showing off this game.
Mm-hmm.
So they spent some marketing money, which I'm sure they have made back again, sold like 8 million copies. But, like, Capcom is doing a very smart business model where they are refreshing a lot of their franchises to be more broadly accessible without leaving their identity behind.
Yeah.
Like, RE4 remake. Not the same as the original RE4. But captures the spirit pretty good, has a pretty good vibe, and because it is more modern, has a few features that might make it a little easier to get into than, finding a working port of RE4 from the early 2000s.
I'm gonna be real, it's not that hard to find an RE port. They ported that game a lot of fucking times.
Is true. If you have a working old school console, you can probably find RE4. You probably own RE4 already a couple of times over. And which is why, like, I know some people are concerned, especially with like some of the older RE game remakes, like 2 and 3, that those are like replacing the originals because they are different games. RE4 is like, how the fuck are you gonna lose access to RE4? Some guy's got that fucking disc in his basement. You can find it and rip that shit. But like the new game has some extra features to make it, a little more grokkable, a little less weird and very maintainable, while also still letting you, if you're a hardened veteran, get in there. And I think Monster Hunter's kind of the same way. They wanted this game to go in front of a lot of eyes and appeal to people. I think they appeal to people with like very fresh, up-to-date character designs. Obviously, a lot of people, even in the pre-release, making a lot of business about Gemma's exposed midriff, but like most of these characters look good and look distinct, right? At a glance, I can tell Olivia from Alma from, Guildmaster Fabius and so on.
Mm-hmm.
They even did a thing where I think for a first time in the series, Palicos can speak English.
Yeah, I turned that shit off.
I'm not even in this franchise, like I said, until then. And I switched back to feline because I'm just like, no, cat make cat sound, haha. My Palico's just like, meow. Your Palico also has a character. His character is Ride or Die.
No, it's great. I love him.
Just fucking send it. And then when you get into the high rank post game, you're doing shit like your Palico's like, hey, I've invented a new weapon. Let's go hunt a guy to test out. Check out my fucking war balloon. Hunter, I've built a laser gun. Nah, it's great. So like that is the thing that like despite the fact that this is more story driven, is more character driven, your character is still treated with respect and that you have agency. Like, and to be fair, like there is still some micromanaging. Like Alma's purpose in the story is mostly to be like, give you the thumbs up, the rubber stamp. You're authorized to hunt that monster. Some shit's going on.
Well, I think this is like one of the important things because something that has never really been explained in the Monster Hunter series is what do hunters actually do and what does the guild do? Like you've always been kind of this assumption that you hunt dangerous monsters and whatnot, but it never has it really been like fully explained. Well, it might have been explained in some of the other series because believe it or not, Monster Hunter has a lot of spin-off games. Like look at Monster Hunter stories and whatnot. So I don't know, it might be explained in some other things or maybe in the MMO that they had for a while. Again, like I said, I've played a Monster Hunter in every generation. I have not played all the Monster Hunters.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
And also there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
This will be very fun.
So I feel like the guild has like the guild and what
Master
Hunter's
Collection
actual role is has never been fully explained. But here in Wild, while they don't like go into like nitty-gritty details, I do feel like they try to show, not tell necessarily. Like they're doing investigations, they're studying wildlife, doing research, and if they deem something a threat to the ecosystem or humanity, you go hunt that monster.
But also, it's not just like threat to humanity is like very specific. Like when you get optional hunts and stuff, your hunter is always asking questions about like, hey, how did this monster attack happen? What's going on? And usually it's like, oh, well, because humans are not, the people in the story are not idiots. We were minding our own business. Previously, we were safe, but for some reason, the monsters are being super aggro. And then, your hunter strokes their chin and goes, yes, this sounds like a bad thing. I'll go deal with that,
Yeah.
Like, obviously, yes, you still can just run up to monsters that appear in the overworld, jump off the back of your bird dog, and kick ass. But you do at still at least have to be the appropriate rank to do these hunts. Like, I think for like all through low rank, you automatically have enough rank to engage the guys that you're in the map on. But like, I actually like ran by like high rank Ray Dow and like wanted to be like, hey man, what's up? And Alma was like, oh, your rank's not high enough you're not authorized to fight this guy yet. And I was like, oh, better skedaddle.
Death approaches.
It really did. So yeah, like, and I've heard that like Alma's like character job and kind of how she acts is seems to be a little bit reactionary to World, where the handler was not a very popular character.
She was very loud and obnoxious. I didn't hate her, but I did not like her. Like, because usually you have, the guild marm, who is usually someone more of like Alma's character, who's, nice and polite and calm. And the handler was just loud. But like, I do want to say, like, I do like what they've done for Wilds and that Alma actually travels with you. In previous games, when you wanted to go a quest, you would have to go to the guild counter, then pick the quest, and then go out into the field. Like, because Wilds is much more of a expeditionary force, you don't have like full facilities built anywhere. You stay in a tent the entire time, and sometimes Alma comes and hangs out with you. When you go out into the field, like, and you start beating up a monster, Alma will just generate the quest for you, or you can stop and talk to her and just pick a quest from her right there. She's always with you. Yeah, monitoring your activities and providing like support. It's also real nice that both she and the Palico will pick up shit for you if you pass it.
Yeah, they'll see materials in the field and be like, oh, I've added some stuff to your pouch. Alma verbally calls out when you've been resupplied, when you've got supplies in your supply pouch kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And for story-related stuff, the game is usually pretty good about making sure you have the bits you need to accomplish missions. So, like, if you get a capture mission, the supply pouch will usually give you, a couple of tranq bombs, maybe a pitfall trap.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, if you go to, like, the volcanic region, there'll usually be some hot drinks. If you go to icicles, cool drinks. If you go to icicles, they'll usually give you some hot drinks. If you fight, if you're fighting specific monsters, they'll usually give you some of the curatives. Like, if you're fighting Congalala, deodorants, maybe fighting
anybody
like
who's
Rathian.
poisoned, they'll give you a couple antidotes.
Yeah, they won't give you a lot, but they'll give you a nut just in case you forgot to pack any.
And they do refresh, over time throughout the quest. So if you somehow like fuck up and burn through all your antidotes early, they'd be like, "Hey, we got you some more." Like you feel supported in this, which is cool. I like that feeling that like because it plays up the heroic fantasy. You're Billy Badass. You're out here hunting monsters, but you're not like just rolling over every piece of wildlife you see. And I don't think the game encourages it. Like the general like herbivores, like some of them do have a couple of unique drops. Though I think you may be able to get some of those the other way. But like generally, there's no reason for you to hop off your secret and just bowl over like say those pangolin guys in the first area, right?
No, they can only give you rare meats, and I believe on low rank it's like herbivore carapace and herbivore, and higher rank it's like herbivore shell, which you do use for a few things, but like not many.
And honestly, you can probably, like I said, you can probably get it other ways because there is not perfect, but there is a little bit of an economy. Part of your exploration is connecting with local settlements. So, you find villagers and they can equip you with item exchanges, material retrieval, other subsystems, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I am slightly glad we did get some of that trade and we have material gatherers. That was one of the things that I was missing from it. And usually in Monster Hunter games, you usually have some way to generate items without having to go into the field constantly to pick them. And we do have that. It's not quite the system we've had before. And I'm not saying I'm a fan of it 100%, but I understand it. Monster Hunter Wilds is supposed to be, in the wilds. This is not necessarily a settled region. You do not have your infrastructure and setup here. You are, basically showed up on a fucking sand ship and you had to spread out throughout the region on foot with what you can take on hand. You can't build an entire fucking kitchen or a farm in said areas. But what you can do is you can talk to people in the region and have them, gather stuff for you and, trade with them, which gives you some neat stuff.
And in high rank, after they roll credits, your focal point for that mechanic becomes Nata, who was kind of your like tag-along kid. He's the kid that the first expedition found like when they first very loosely started surveying this region and realized, oh shit, there are people here. So like he kind of like partially drives the plot forward because he's always trying to find a way back to his village and his people, and also lets you know about the White Wraith, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, is Nata perfect all the time? No, he's a kid.
Yeah, I was about to say, I heard some people like getting mad about Nata, but like I think I said to someone, let the 12-year-old be a fucking 12-year-old.
Yeah, he's a kid. And also, hey, guess what? As we talked about, your character, no growth. You do not have a character arc. You're pretty locked in. Your character arc is more about how you relate to other people, and like you are the paragon for other characters to start looking up to. One of those characters is Nata. Nata has a character arc.
By the way, this will not come up if you play the English. But after credits roll, Nata starts calling you senpai.
That's good. Well, he does, semi-spoilers for Monster Hunter, but again, people probably don't care. He does kind of join the guild.
Yeah.
He's like, he's an apprentice hunter. I don't think he's
I see
actually
you wearing that leather, Nata.
Yeah, he's geared up. But also the guild appoints him as the liaison basically to all the local tribes. So if you want to like check out that item collection or item trading mechanics, you can still go to each of the individual villages and pop in and talk to people, and sometimes you're rewarded. They like to invite you for food a lot. And then because the season is wrong. You can't get food, and then the season changes, and they don't want to give you food anymore. This happens a lot to me. I get a fucking invite in the middle of fighting for my goddamn life, and then when I finally track it down, they no longer want to offer me food. But like he still acts as a focal point, and through most of the story, he's been hanging outside your tent doing like story stuff. I do appreciate that you can almost always ask him, "Hey, how you feeling? You doing okay?" Like, it's just a good note. But because that's where he's always been, that's where he stays in the post game to let you collect those resources. So it's just like, it's got a lot of really good flow. And like I said, the low rank stuff, it's maybe low. If you're fucking fast, like if you're not farming for extra materials, you could probably do it in like 10 hours.
Probably.
I would say a more reasonable is probably around the 20-ish hour mark, because you probably are going to want to like stop down and farm materials to get new weapons and armor, even in low rank, because you'll probably fucking die if you don't improve your defense a little bit. Just a little bit.
Monster Hunter has a very simple gameplay loop. It's you hunt monsters to get gear so you can build, better equipment to, fight more monsters. That's it. That's the entire gameplay loop.
Yep. And Wilds executes on that perfectly. Lucky and I both have huge fucking wish lists, even only improving a couple of weapons at a time. But sorry, sneeze. But the wish list is great because like it keeps track of everything for you. When you get a material, it'll be like, ding-ling, you got something off your wish list. And it'll tell you how much you need. Not only will it say when you have fulfilled enough materials for a specific recipe, but also it'll tell you how many you need total to keep track of. So like if you're working on like a monster's like armor set and a couple weapons, it will let you know, hey, you're going to need 12 of these things. And you go, ugh. But when you get all 12, you're like, nice.
No, Monster Hunter, like, you have to forgive my memory because I do not remember perfectly, but Monster Hunter Wilds right now actually has a lot of options to help you, get through stuff. Like, the monster field guide, really, really good. Lot of information in there.
Yeah, it's excellent.
It has drop rates, weaknesses, strengths, all that kind of stuff to help you, plan out hunts better.
Identifies the like different body parts. And talking about drop rates, it will tell you like if you sever this or break that, what you're guaranteed to get, right?
Yeah.
So like, it keeps track of all that stuff.
But
obviously also does weaknesses.
There's a lot of options. There's a lot of things you can do to like customize what you want. The UI in Monster Hunter is not the greatest. There's a lot of confusing menus. There are options you don't know maybe exist unless you go digging for them. Things are placed in strange locations.
That's like the one big detriment to the game. Like in gameplay, there's some jank that's clearly intentional. I said this, I think, off mic earlier when we were talking about the game, but like, I don't know if I can call Monster Hunter an action game in the traditional sense because, yes, you do a lot of like high-paced, high-flying fucking smash combos, do some complex combo cancel hit bullshit. But also that's all like super deliberate. Like, and I think you phrased it pretty good in the pre-show as well. When you're hitting those buttons, you're committing. When you commit to the swing, you are pretty locked in. Some of the lighter, smaller weapons, you can get some like interrupts and cancels and stuff in there. Something that apparently they did add new is, for instance, Longsword's Helmbreaker. You can actually choose to cancel at any time for when the monster inevitably moves out of the fucking way when you're mid-jump. Yeah, because it's a long-ass animation. But for the most part, you are committed unless you're like doing some extra inputs. So it's all very deliberate feeling. You want to use an item. Well, unless you're Sword and Shield, you have to put your weapon away. You have to, do a whole animation, etc. Then get your weapon back out. I will say one thing that I feel like is the consistent thing that bothers me is just the game does not have a consistent like both take weapon out and put weapon away button. Those are separate buttons. So like sometimes I feel like I'm just trying to like naturally do like my weapon step, and then I accidentally use an item by hitting square because I had my weapon put away and I fumble it, or I'm like accidentally God knows I've accidentally shot things with pods when I was trying to use like a normal ranged weapon with R2 because I accidentally like aimed
Square
first.
does put weapons away. Sorry, I'm playing right now. Lucky uses R1 to put his weapon away because that's also the sprint button, which is generally what I want to be doing when I'm trying to put away my weapon.
Yeah. Like I said, the buttons are consistent for each half, but it's not the same button. So, like, sometimes my brain is just like, put weapon away. No, take weapon out. No, don't hit that button again. You wanted to put weapon away. Like, it's just, there's not a simple, like, just switch stance. It's okay. It's a minor nitpick. But like I said, there are deliberate game design choices. And then there is the UI, which, like you said, is just a little, like, weird and opaque at times. There's a fucking, like, history tab in the menu for some reason.
Yeah. I will say, I was, like, digging around in some menus. You can, if you edit your widget tabs, you can make what is called a favorites tab and then put what you want on said favorites tabs. So if there's things that you're going to constantly and you don't want to dig through, like, the menus for, you can put it on an easy thing to go to it quickly. But this is the other problem. Monster Hunter Wilds doesn't explain shit about its menus. You have to kind of get in there. You have to dig in there and find out yourself.
There's not really like menu tutorials. It's just like, here are some menus. Click them.
Like, if you go into options, like, I know some people have been, like, I know you, Omega, have been having problems with your, sorry, Gravios just blasted me.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into your options, you have options to turn off your bird's auto explore. If you get on your bird will not move. You can also set it so that when you get on your bird, it will, like, if you hit because you can get on your bird by pushing either up or down. If you push down on your bird, it does not start moving towards the it's not supposed to start moving. It's supposed to start moving. If you hit up or down, it's supposed to start moving towards your marked target. You can turn that shit off if you like your bird. You don't want your bird to just start immediately running. You know, there are options to, like, customize, like the values you see and all that stuff. There is a lot of game options. Like you go to the game options, there's like 4 pages of things to, like, switch around in there, and it's a fucking lot, and it's not exactly obvious what it is all the time. And there's other weird things too.
God help us, the multiplayer. That took us like a solid day to figure out how to multiplayer best.
Yeah.
Like, because you can do like a 4-man party of, like, what is it, Link Party, which means that basically if you do environmental quests, and I think if you post jobs, you can, like, get to them fast, but you aren't in the same instance, so you can't, like, hang out ever.
Yeah.
The best way to do it is a squad lobby, but those have limited number of slots. You can be part of, like, 4, though, but, like, we didn't realize that was an option because accessing a squad lobby is inside a submenu of lobby search, which is not necessarily correct to what the squad lobby is because it's not a search. It just lists the lobbies for the squads you're in.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little weird. It's a little weird.
Yeah. So the UI is definitely a detriment. I do not think I've been having as much problem as newer players is because I kind of know what I am looking for and where I need my information. But for someone who is, like, new to this, if, like, this was, like, your first Monster Hunter, this shit probably seems, you know, overwhelming as fuck and just a fucking pain.
Yeah, I think I figured out most of the menu stuff I need, but it definitely is one of those things where, like, there could be stuff I'm missing and I wouldn't know because I don't know. I'm not familiar with this franchise.
Like, for example, if you, in the menus, like, I'm sorry, I would pull up the menu, but Gravios is once again firing heat lasers at me, the prick. But I think it's in the play guides menu, which is under, like, one of the tabs. You can actually enable the tutorial, combo stream, was basically, like, it will show the combos you're doing and, you know, which ones you can lead up into. The game kind of already has that in the upper right. Sorry, Lucky had to check his L. But when you're mid-combat, it's a little harder to see. So, you know, you can turn that, like, on or off. You can, you know, change the size of, like, in the options, you can change the size of maps, your how much is on your UI. I am really surprised that I have not seen anyone been making the fucking heads up display jokes about, you know, how there's everything on fucking screen at once. Because guess what? In this game, it absolutely fucking is.
Yeah, I've just popped open. I had it open earlier, so I'm disconnected. But I popped up. I've got my quest marker, which is almost always useless. Quests are very simple in this game. Accept a quest, go here, do this, talk to X. But you've got your stamina bar, your HP bar up in the corner. You've got your list of buffs. Your Palico's HP bar is below that. You got a mini map. Which
Oh,
I've never really focused on it, but you've got like the day-night tracker there, but it's a little small, so I don't really think about that.
Yep. Also, don't forget, above your minimap will be your interactables list, which personally I like. I like knowing that there's like maybe a vigor bug nearby.
Yeah. Well, and also
That's
when you
important to me
pull
sometimes.
out your interaction, if they're like grappleable, you can quick target them.
Yeah.
Which is great. So you don't have to like look behind you to be like you said, get a vigor wasp or the game always gives you like cold drinks and hot drinks, but also I think basically right outside the camp, anytime you would start those quests anyway, there's usually a cool bug or a hot bug.
Yep. Generally.
So, like just, usual stuff. But yeah, but then you have like your item menu down there. When you hold the button, you get a wheel, which has wheel stuff. You can customize your wheels, but if you don't know what you're doing, how would you know what wheels to put in wheels?
Yeah, no. Honestly, I would say the tool wheel, fucking perfect. Leave it alone. In fact, fucking a hot tip, pro tip from me to you guys. Go to your item menu, basically disable all the fucking tools in the in your item bar, and just rely on the fucking radial wheel if you need to pull out your binoculars, your ghillie cloak, or capture net and stuff. Because if you take them out of your item rows, they do not show up, which means it's very easier to scroll through all your items while you're desperately looking for the fucking potions.
What is that? Item pouch?
Yeah, no, item, like, actually, I don't know if I can, I'm mid-hunt, I don't know if I can do it right now, but, yeah, no, go to item pouch, select the item, just hit X, it'll put a little, X on it, and it will no longer show up in the item bar, but you can still access it from the radial menu, which, I'm gonna be real, I've already started using my tools just from the radial menu. It's so much fucking easier.
No, yes, that seems a lot better for that.
Because it takes them, like, again, one of the things that was definitely a pain is having, like, I'm glad they gave you all the tools. They are all useful in their own other ways, but it clogs up your item bar so much that when you're trying to, like, scroll through items, it's a bit of a pain.
But all those things are literally in your essential items wheel from the start.
Yes. The only one that it's not is your pop-up camps, but I'm going to be real, you really don't need the pop-up camp. If you find the pop-up camp, you can just go to any of the you can either go to the palicos at the desert base camp or the support palico and just have them put it down for some points. It's like you don't actually need it unless you need to make the camp right then there right now. You don't need it.
I did figure out that you can, because a couple of them do that anyway, but you can rearrange and stack your own items.
Yes, that one took me a minute to figure out myself. It doesn't really do much in the item bar, but it does kind of makes it look nice in the thing.
Cleans up your UI,
Yes. But yeah, no, like I've done that. Like I stuck my traps on each other, stuck a couple of my pods on each other. It's good. Yes. Another pro tip I would say, save your loadouts. I have like very basic loadouts in which I carry, potions, mega potions, null berries. I carry my mega demon drugs, mega armor drugs, luring pods, flash pods, both traps, mega barrel bombs, rations, and well-cooked steaks. That's just my basic shit. I go basically into every map with that, and I just add whatever I need for like specific hunts from that. Like, I'm gonna go fight a Congalala, add deodorants. Gonna go fight like a Rathian or a Gypsyros, add herbal medicines. Gonna go fight Jindaha, get some fucking cleansers. Like, I find it much easier, like, because we actually had this, we had a small problem with this, it was like day before yesterday where Mega, because the Mega was using auto.
Yeah, I just have one set of items, and I just go to my tent, and you can auto stock from item pouch. You just in a sub menu, like refill. Yeah, no,
I had been using that. Like I misunderstood when you originally said. I thought it was like an option you could just toggle, not the thing. But I had been using that. But I ran into the problem, like you said, if you don't have the item in there, it doesn't restock.
Yeah.
So, I find it usually better just to hit L3, which will open up your loadouts in that menu, and just, at my top I have my basic. It just begins from there. You can also do that with equipment, though generally I would say you'll probably be doing that a lot less with equipment.
Yeah, usually that's part of the prep phase of. Oh, it is spring forward tonight. Fuck.
Oh, that's gonna be grand.
Cool, great, I love it. Yeah, that is like generally that's what the prep phase before a quest is just like, all right, what's this guy weak to again? Okay, give me that weapon and put this armor on.
Maybe look at your decorations. I will say probably like I don't know about others. I don't change my armor that much. Usually I'm pretty ride or die in the set, and I just usually change my playstyle to match it. Right now I'm in the actual Archveld gear, and while it does have like minuses and some resistance, my usual response to that is like, guess I just don't try not to get hit. As I let Gyps Rose ram me into a fucking wall. I am great at this game, everyone. But yeah, no, like there's a lot of convenience in Monster Hunter Wilds that's just kind of not explained, for lack of a better word. And like I said, that is very much to the game's detriment. But I was also thinking about this earlier. I don't think there is actually a good way to fucking explain all this menu shit, and not in a way that's that'll take entirely too long. It will be not a complete pain in the ass.
Well, and also, especially because the only way you'll be able to do that would be with more like forced tutorial segments, which I think I can safely say is not what the audience wants.
No.
Because like we've said, we're pretty positive on Wilds. I'm a newcomer, first timer. Lucky's an old hand. Both of us are pretty okay with the game. It has some idiosyncrasies, some of which are just Monster Hunter things, some of which are kind of specific to Wilds. But there is a vocal, again, don't know how large. Game sold 8 million copies. It's doing fine. But there is a vocal segment who are not happy with some of these changes. Some people, I don't want to say that necessarily they dislike the idea that Monster Hunter has story, but some people do not necessarily seem to vibe with the way the story flows through low rank. Because it is a lot more handholdy, a lot more railroady, and very specific of like I said, it is basically a semi-forced tutorial. It introduces you to a lot of the basic monsters. As you conclude the story and go up through stuff, you are introduced to a handful of the subsystems. Not quite all of them, but most of them I think are covered as you kind of like unlock new areas and explore new places, meet a couple new characters. They have you run through a few of the basic different stuff and get a chance to get a feel for things. And they have several of these like investigation or exploring type segments, which can be very much on rails. And while like I'm not the biggest fan of how they handled, because it does kind of feel like they are a little strict. Like it's one of those things where like you're wandering through a new area, and because it's just the area as it is, you'll see like a pick-upable or something, or maybe a weird, small monster, and be like, ooh, what's that? And the game will be like, no, stick together. We got to go here or do that. And it's like, but I don't want to do that. But my counterpoint to people being like, oh, it's too railroady, it's terrible, is like, okay, I have about 40-something hours in this game. The amount of time of that was spent in those railroady secret sections has to be no more than 30 minutes tops, maximum. They are not that long. It's like, if you do actually just buckle down and run through the segment, it's gotta be like, none of them are longer than 5 minutes at most, They're not long. They are meant to be the most basic introduction, and I think their purpose is to force the player to, like, actually get out there and physically traverse the area. Obviously, yes, Monster Hunter is a game where, at least to my understanding, you are supposed to go out there and gather. It's part of your vibes to get your stuff.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like if you're a newcomer, maybe you don't know that, to know that it's like to get out there and explore. But even if you're an old hand, I suspect some people just kind of like go with the flow. This actually does make you kind of get out there, and like they point out a couple of, interesting details, like observe the weather. And it's not like super important, but it's truly no time out of your day to do the segments.
I think one of the things they want people to realize is that while the game is about hunting monsters, there is an entire map out there to explore and do stuff in. Like, this was one of the things that, like, slightly perplexed me about your complaints when you forgot to restock. You said, "Oh, I'm just gonna fucking die," and I'm just like, Omega, you don't have to like just fight the monster constantly. You can leave the fight, go gather things out in the wild, and like restock, or go back to the camp to do that.
Yeah. Well,
But
as usual, I will say another thing about the UI that's a little frustrating is sometimes restocking in the wild is a little annoying because if you pick up a couple of things and don't take them out of your pouch gets full, and the game does not like to let you leave that menu.
I
You
do
have to,
think
like,
you can put
manually
things
confirm.
into your field, not your Securet field pouch, but you into your
Maybe that's a default setting I can set. Well, I mean, my main thing is just that, like, when I'm fighting a monster, right, and I happen to pick up something and my pouch is full, it's a confirm menu. You have to manually confirm. Like,
oh yeah.
You can't just double tap circle and it defaults to your field pouch. It's not a huge deal. Honestly, I probably shouldn't be picking up shit I don't know that I'm immediately going to use kind of thing, but it's just one of those things that's like, also, could we just make it so you can just double tap circle and it automatically goes to field pouch? Do I want to not pick this thing I picked up?
But another pro tip about this game: don't be in a rush. You do not have to fight the monster constantly. If he is kicking your ass or low on supplies, you can just retreat and come back. A lot of these fights give you like 50 fucking minutes.
Yeah, most of them take like 10-minute tops, so you got plenty of time.
Yeah,
and I mean, I hadn't really been thinking about it, but when you said it, I was like, do I have any camps nearby? I also don't know exactly how Loth was able to fit. Does it like mark on the map where other players' camps are? Loth was like immediately like, oh, your camp is at like section 7. I was like, oh shit, it is. We are close to that. I don't know who he had that like off the top of his head so fast, but yeah, you
Loth
can
is
kind
pretty
of
good
relocate.
with the camps.
Sometimes the monsters are going to be on your ass a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can kind of zone out there, and that is definitely a thing that the game, like in low rank, teaches you about. Is like it forces you to make a couple of pop-up camps. They are not optimal. They will be getting bowled over by monsters. Shit you wouldn't believe will knock over your pop-up camps. Luckily, that's only temporary, but but it does actually like teach you about placing them, and I don't know. I hope the idea is if you see those default camps constantly getting attacked, you think to yourself, gee, where would I go to set up a camp so it stops getting attacked?
Yeah, no, if you explore the map, you will find a lot of extra camp locations. Some of them are safe, some of them are insecure, some of them are dangerous.
But yeah, yes, I think you're right that the point is to like make you feel like you're in a big wide world. But like you observed this to me, and I think I've come to agree with you as a newcomer. People who are like deep in a Monster Hunter, they don't got the patience for that shit. They want to they understand already how much they got to do the gameplay loop. They don't give a shit about that stuff. They want to hunt monsters, man. Every hour I'm not hunting monsters is an hour I could be hunting monsters and carving parts, baby.
Well, I think this is one of the reasons why they actually got rid of investigations, because in Monster Hunter's world, Rathalos has discovered your pop-up cam. I better wonder what my next message is going to be.
Rathalos has fucking destroyed your pop-up camp. Thousands are dead.
Rathalos has had sex with my camp. Great. Dragon sex camp. But, I forgot what I was saying because I had to make a stupid joke. Good job, me.
Well, you're talking about investigations in...
Oh, investigations in World. How it used to work in Worlds is you wouldn't necessarily... Like, one of the things I do think is probably not good, I don't want to say bad, but not good for Monster Hunter Wilds, is that monsters on the map just appear. You can set your waypoint there, and you can set your bird to auto-run. Now, 1, I like my bird. 2, I like auto-running. 3, I don't necessarily like the fact that my bird can just auto-run to a monster automatically, even if it's like 900 meters away. I don't know if it's actually meters, but no one explained this shit to me. Because back in World, what you would do is you would have to find monster signs. Like you would have to find clawed trees, leftover food, tracks and whatnot. But guess what? That took time. You actually had to, slow down, follow a path. And I don't know if people actually like that. I'm going to be real. I thought it was okay, but like we've talked about this, Lucky has a surprisingly large tolerance for busy work. I don't mind busy work in my games. Like it's just one of those things that I just always consider just part of the experience, and I just keep going.
And honestly, I've talked about this. I honestly would not mind some actual like investigation type investigations, because that is the thing that I feel like like would complete this fantasy of the Monster Hunter is like if I had to spend a couple days in my fucking ghillie cloak, like studying the Rathalos through my binoculars and like talking to myself like David Attenborough.
I mean, well, fun fact, you can actually study monsters through your binoculars, and it will even give you like their size and stuff.
It's true. That is,
so that is something you can
get
do,
out of
but
that,
it is
it's not required.
Necessary.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can still find those monster signs, which are called investigate, but those are just kind of like an alternate little like tchotchke bonus for like mats, and you get a couple guild points out of it. So it's still like a reward. You still want to go do it, but it is no longer like a major mechanic.
Yeah.
And you're probably right that from what I understand, that probably wasn't super popular. People probably wanted to just, instead of doing field monsters that way, probably wanted to treat it like normal quests.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of like how Wilds has re-kajiggered things. But it does definitely mean that, like, I feel like the players are truly, like, all gas, no brakes type stuff, which is why some people seem to push back against some of these railroady sections. And like I said, they're not perfect. They probably could have, like, put the rails a little farther apart, actually let you explore a little, but it truly is not that much of your time lost. And trust me, once you get through low rank, you will be in high rank, where the game is nothing but a fucking deluge of the optional quests for monsters of both the normal 1v1 variety and also the funny ha-has you can get as side missions by talking to NPCs, right?
Right.
And also, there'll be fucking guys in the wild who will fuck your shit up. Not only will be the high rank versions of monsters, but they introduce, tempered monsters who are all beat up and battle scarred. And will absolutely fucking flatten your shit. And I think they only appear as field targets. I haven't seen a side quest that asks you to fight one yet.
Yeah, no, there's a few of them.
Okay. There's a couple. But for the most part, it seems like an overworld mechanic. Now, you can save field quests as investigations basically for later.
Yes.
You can take a monster you see on the overworld and put it in your pocket and come back with it, which is great. And Aaron is saying that in Worlds, investigations could be random, exactly what monster you discovered. That is probably something that they probably did want to take out to kind of like streamline for players. But like you said, it's one of those things where like the game wants to give you enough to like experience this world, because like it is actually, it's not like critically important, but it's a pretty significant factor to have a little environmental awareness. Like interactables are great. Like you said, you can just go to your camp and restock, but if you know what your materials are, you can also just restock in the field, just scoop up enough herbs and honey and you'll slam some potions together.
Yep. Need
a specific ammo type for some status condition or something, look for some shit on the ground,
Yeah. No, it's fun. Like, you're supposed, like, you are able to get out of there, but again, like, I feel like, again, like I talked about, people have no patience. Because Monster Hunter has like such a long grind, I think people are generally more concerned about getting the hunt done so they can get their next hunt done, so they get the items to get it off their wish list, or so they can improve their hunter rank and all that stuff. They're not necessarily about, vibing in the world. Lucky loves vibing in the world. I vibe in the world all the time. I put on my Gatherer set. I just go out and I go look for shit. Like, believe it or not, a lot of the maps just have little secret hidden areas that you can find to do interesting stuff. Like in the sand, and like in the sand dudes, there's like several like areas you can just crawl up, finding more mining nodes and whatnot that if you're just running by on your bird dog all the time, you might not necessarily see. But there are also some areas that are just only accessible by bird dog. Like I said, there's like several animations of your Sekirette, bounding between things. But your Sekirette also has a glide. Guys, there are some locations that can only be reached by your Sekirette gliding. But guess what? If you're only using your auto move, which I assume some people are doing and still complaining about it, you'll never find them. Unless you actually take a moment to stop, smell the flowers, but not that flower. It's fucking poisonous. And go explore the world and see what it has to offer. You are not engaging with the map at all.
Which is a terrible shame, because I think that's what Wilds is built for, right? Like, it's completely seamless, open world. You can literally run from one map zone to the other, no loading screens.
Yeah.
And
like
it's a really beautiful open world. It may not be, perfectly optimized. It is built in RE Engine after all, but like I think the overworld is the point. That's why there's not like a city zone you can go back to. Like
it's like honestly,
you're
like you're in the wilds. You have little camps. Your guild handler is with you all the time. And it's like, God, no, one of my favorite things is I like going to looking for endemic life. And sometimes I don't even capture it. Sometimes I just watch them. Like, there's an endemic creature in the deserts. They're usually a pair. They're lizards that have these huge-ass tails. They walk across the sand dunes, and they use their tails as fat-ass fins as shade as they walk. And they always travel in pairs so one can look out for the other. And I'm just like, neat, rad, I love this. In the forest, they have things called, dazzle, like the dazzle wings. There's another one. I think the dazzle wings, the rare one. But they talk about how like these are the males because they have the super plumage, the super beautiful plumage to attract females. And then they got, the dazzle wing, which is even more beautiful. And the game's just all like, this motherfucker has no problem getting the ladies. And you're just like, eh. I was watching something called leaf lugger ants because I saw ants on a tree and I was like, what are those guys? Turns out if you interact with those guys, they just give you a fucking mega potion.
Nice.
It's stuff like that. It's like, you can, if you find a dung beetle, you can get dung pods. If you find a bomb beetle, you can get like, little bomb explosives. I don't remember what you get if you find like an ice beetle, like a rime beetle and stuff. But like there's all these little things you can just discover like out there in the game. Like the fucking herb, like I love this little detail. The herbivores in the first area, the semi-savanna desert area, it's one male to a herd of females, but during the inclemency, the sandstorm with all the lightning, all the females gather around the male, facing outwards by the whale, while the male basically fucking screams at the sky and takes lightning shots for the rest of the herd, keeping them safe.
Yeah, he's a natural lightning rod. No, it's cool. Yeah. And
no,
then there's other guys, like there's the shield-faced guys in the jungle, which act like how we kind of think pachycephalosaurs do, where like they'll circle up and they'll bunt you if you get in their way, but they don't want to start shit.
No. And it's like, and that's the thing. It's like people are talking about like there's nothing in the map, and I tell you, you're not actually looking at the map. You're looking at your objective markers.
God, if people say the maps are empty, I will punch them. I will put you in a locker. I will swirly you. These maps are so loaded that speaking about UI stuff, there's like multiple levels of filters you can do to your map to fucking quick waypoints. Like talking about like exploring. I've done that before. I've been like, shit, I need like 10 fucking fusium or gracium. All right, I'm just going to walk around to every mining node and see what I see. And, there's a mining node way up here. What's in this corner,
Mm-hmm.
What's this? What's that? Like bound back and forth between things. That's how I because I didn't spot it before. That's how I found where like Rove hangs out in the cliffs. Rove, best character, by the way.
Best character.
He's amazing. We love him. But yeah, he's just like hiding out on the ice shard cliffs, and I like went to some mining nodes, and I was like, oh, what's this little path over here? Oh, there's some treasures. And it's just like literally Alma goes, oh, Rove, this is where you're living, and we're just like, yeah, cool.
Like usually, and guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, you do not have to spend your entire time on Bird Dog back. It's fun, it's convenient, I understand it, but you can't get off them and wander around on foot. Stop bitching about the Bird Dog.
Listen, the Bird Dog is a great system, but it has its own weirdness. Talking about like deliberate choices, like the animation to get on and off your Bird Dog, your sacred, is again very deliberate. You have to be committed. You're in the middle of something, you cannot dismount, you cannot remount. Your bird will come get you, but it has to traverse. Like if you need a pickup, so you got to like think about when you're gonna get a pickup, whether that's after a monster has slapped your shit and you want to get some distance, or it's just like you're trying to get up a cliff. Guess what? If you went through a tunnel and left your bird dog behind, the bird dog gonna have trouble getting you.
Yeah, no, that's actually a thing. In the jungle, if you go behind the waterfall, and I think it's area 12, there's a point that you can dive in and do a little underwater section while doing basically on-rail shooters to grab treasures from the underground. When you emerge from the other area, the bird dog can't get you.
Yeah, you gotta swim back.
You gotta swim back, or fast travel.
There's also some very funny things with the bird dog that is just like, there's a reason not to constantly have them around. When you got 4 people and 4 bird dogs in a hunt, you get a little packed sometimes.
That's a lot of bird dog.
I've had my camera blocked by bird dogs. Luckily, you can't truly friendly fire them, but I have had friendly secrets, Mr. President, for a monster before. Just because they will just stand there and take it.
No, I mean, sometimes it's just the one cigarette. So Lucky's has been doing fishing because guess what? I'm a great sword user. That means I get a one of my weapons is a giant frozen tuna. What do I need to get that giant frozen tuna? I need to get spearfin tunas, which is a whopper, which is the more engaged fishing mechanic. You have basically two fishing mechanics in Monster Hunter Wilds. You have your very simple one where you just catch fish, reel in fish. That's how you get your things like your sushi scales, your wet scales, and like bomb arowana and stuff. But if you want to catch whoppers and stuff, you actually have to engage in the, you have to tire out the fish, reel them out. If they jump, you have to, move with them to do it. So it's a little bit of a mechanic to do it. It's not extremely difficult, but it can get a little tense. My Sekiret has the worst fucking possible timing of always wanting to stand directly behind me so his body is taking up most of my screen when I am fishing. Like, I sometimes want to suplex this lizard bird dog.
And you can't really reposition him.
No, I can't tell him go sit over there. But I love my lizard bird dog. He's great. He brings joy into my life. And I'm gonna be real, guys. I do not want to trek across this map on foot. When I'm exploring a specific section, sure, that's fine. But if I have to go from, point A to point Z, which is like, 1,000 paces away, that's a lot of running on my feet. Because remember, that's a lot of running on my feet, and I don't want to deal with that. Let me place a marker and auto move with my dog while I dig through my field guide to figure out what I need to figure out next. It's fucking fine.
Yeah, because there's only a handful of zones. I very quickly cottoned on. They're all color coded.
Yeah.
So there's the green one, the yellow one, the red one, the blue one, and then the purple zone. But like they're all pretty big, and like I'm just thinking like in the plains, right? If you wanted to actually like walk from base camp to the oasis, God, that would take so long.
Oh, by the way, all the maps are fucking they're element based. So you have sand for thunder, jungle for water, ice for ice, the oil area for fire, and the ruins for dragon.
Yeah,
they're all out. They're basically elemental coded, which I thought is neat.
No, it's a nice touch. And they're all very like distinct, like the vibes in the purple zone are very different than the plains, which are called the plains, but they're like we said, they're kind of like half desert, half like savanna, because there's I think it's in the north half there's a riverbed.
Yeah.
And then in the bottom half there's a desert with an oasis. And then there's a really cool lightning mountain where Ray Dow hangs out, and it's turbo electric. And then like he said, the jungle's full of like trees and stuff, but also has a big deal about water. Its inclemency is the deluge.
Several rivers.
Yeah.
The best fishing spot is, actually in that area. It's where I would say Ray Dow's nest is, but I don't think I've actually really seen that fucker sleep, now that I think about it. Maybe, I don't know.
The basin is weird because it's kind of rocky, but like you start going underground, you got like lava tunnels. You also have like literal pools of oil and muck.
Love swimming around in that shit.
Mm-hmm. And also I won't say it's full of the most unpleasant monsters because Congalala's not there, but like that's where you got to deal with the fucking stone apes and Rompopolo. That's also the time where we had the fucking, to unlock some monsters so I can reliably like track their materials, I had to just go grab a couple of them off the fucking field. So that's the part where the crew got locked into a fight with a Rathian. Where, as we said, Daddy, a tempered Rathalos kept showing up. And normally when monsters bump into each other in the map, maybe they'll fight a little bit, maybe they'll yell at each other, and then they'll go their separate ways, right? No. The tempered Rathalos, he was locked in. I swear to God, like, Loth stayed in one spot fighting him and then, like, rejoined us. I swear to God, that motherfucker chased Loth back to us. He was locked in. So, like, and yeah, that kind of stuff happens. Honestly, the turf wars are the funniest because you'll see the wackiest shit.
No, I think my favorite shit is when you're in one area and you just see on your screen, like, Rathian paralyzed, and you're just like, what just happened?
When in doubt, Vespoids.
Yes. Or goats.
Also true. Yeah, those guys have a paralyzing horn. Also, by the way, we talked about this. Like, a lot of the big herbivores don't want to fuck with you. When they do fuck with you, small monsters in this game, relentless. You piss off a crocodile, that guy is on your ass. And actually, for this game, I can use one of my father's favorite analogies. He's on you like stink on a monkey. Like, fucking Uth-Duna, a giant, apex predator salamander man is fucking body slamming your shit. This alligator does not care. He is coming for your toes. Why? I don't know. It's a crocodile, man. He doesn't care.
Well, it's just as likely as the alligator will go for Uth-Duna's toes as well. It just all depends.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the aggro. Honestly, in that extra area, there are the guardian sacreds in the ruins, the last zone. Those almost never pick a fight with me. They almost always fight other monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's where you're just 07 to the homies, man, because they never win those fights, but they'll try.
They try.
But yeah, so, all in all, Wild's a great game. It got a couple of weird things. I don't want to say it's, it's not overhyped, I think. Definitely it's the kind of game where you should, try it out a little for yourself if you can. The betas were not the best because, I got my ass kicked way more in the beta than the base game because you couldn't actually improve gear or progress at all.
No.
And that honestly makes the game a lot easier. Just taking a second to work on some next level gear can really help you out. But look at it, try it out for yourself. It isn't for everyone. I have actually seen a couple of people kind of go oh, I tried out the new Monster Hunter. I don't think it's for me.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I want people when people are trying out something new like this, I want people to try it and form their own opinions. This is something that's been bothering me a lot lately, where people will just parrot others' people's opinions and just sit and, not necessarily form their own. It's I don't know if it's just me because I'm an old and jaded, old man, but it's when I've gotten into too many I've seen too many conversations where people will just post videos on a review and be see.
And honestly, at this point, you can find a review that approves anything. There are some people out there who post quote unquote reviews and shit, and I'm just I never agree with any opinion this person has ever had.
And I feel being negative is just, it's what gets people going. Because if you're negative, you're either going to engage with people who agree with you, or you engage with people who disagree with you and want to fight about it. And it's just, it gets to me. Lucky wrote the tweet about people on the internet. I'm filled with hatred because there's only two people on the internet that I see now. Those people who are, smart and talented and beautiful, and I am filled with, jealousy and self-loathing. Or people who are being the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet, and, I am filled with rage and seething hatred. Either way, I am filled with hate. And I'm just man, I need to stop spending time on the internet. This is why I don't actually participate in a lot of, communities, because I do not want to interact with more people than I have to.
Yeah, I'm
rough.
still on Twitter a lot, but I am aggressive with that fucking block button. I see an opinion that I think is dog shit on Twitter, you're going to jail.
No, I've started doing that too.
I'm just if I see you say something, I am at that point in my life where I'm just nah, I don't ever need to we live in separate worlds. I don't need to see your opinion ever again. And some people will fight you on that, but I think it's true. There's fucking at least 8 billion people in the world. You don't need to know what 8 billion other humans think. Nobody has the fucking bandwidth for that shit. We're not designed for that as humans. Humans are intended as social creatures, but our social circles are supposed to be, more limited than that. So, I was never big on communities because I get social anxiety, so it's, weird. I've gotten a little bit better about just, popping in and out of some stuff. I'm in a couple of Discord servers. I usually have muted because notifications, irritate me. They make me think I have to go look at them. If you've ever heard me in a podcast express the sudden need to mute the Discord server, it's because there's conversations going on somewhere else, and I'm just Discord keeps letting me know there's a conversation going on. Shut up! I don't need to know about that right now. I'm literally doing something else. But yeah, humans aren't designed for the bandwidth of this many people. So nah. And honestly, more people I think need to be less online. This is a thing scientists have been doing the studies. They've been crunching the numbers. Being online on social media all the time, not good for you. There are some positives to this kind of stuff. How else in the internet could you get Gujinkas of every Monster Hunter Wild monsters, that, right?
Yeah.
without like a Twitter algorithm. But also, there's other bullshit.
Also, Legendary, I don't think you're dumb. I actually think you are rather intelligent. I just think you also have some somewhat radical opinions and some points that don't make sense to me. But as a point, they don't make sense to me. I don't say they don't make sense to you.
I think
'Cause
Legendary
guess-
is just one of those people who has that fucking brain poison where sometimes he's just gotta say shit to say shit.
Yeah.
The
No, it's
gadfly,
like-
they used to call that.
See, so like, because I don't want to say that people should not, express criticisms or their complaints about things, but they need to do it in a way that doesn't seem that they're just trying to either rage bait or engagement farm. Because, like, yes, no, I think there's some legit criticisms to be had about Monster Hunter Wilds with, maybe map marking and UI. That's, I believe all those are completely valid. But, people talking about how the game looks like crap. I'm all like, you're probably running it on a shit PC or it's not optimized. Or the fact that, sometimes it can't reach up to 60 FPS, which, by the way, I've been playing on my PS5. I have uncapped frames. Like, it's not like always at 60 FPS, but we're generally hitting like, 50 to 60 on a constant basis. And it's fucking
this is a completely
fine.
separate discussion point, but what I've seen that I kind of agree with based on like what it seems like people's problem is like the issue with Monster Hunter is people thought that you could stick a high-powered GPU in anything and be fine. And what we're learning from Monster Hunter Wilds is that is not correct. You need a good CPU as well, because it is not just about rendering your graphics. This giant open world video game also needs to keep track of like other bullshit, and presumably is not always using your GPU for that. Whereas like the PS5 is decently powerful. Obviously, it's not the most powerful thing in the world, like graphically, GPU wise, but with the solid state drive and the CPU they got in it seems to be like pretty focused at rendering. I have not really noticed any technical stuff. I think I should probably give a crack at uncapped frame rate. I set mine to performance for smoother frames, just because that's better overall, but I could probably like let it out a little. I haven't noticed a lot of anything. Like, yes, there are some weird moments where like I think, and it might be network wise, because it's usually when we're doing hunts with like 4 real ass people across the globe.
Yeah.
Literally, thanks, Loth. Honestly, though, it's not. We've had worse connections with Loth in other games than through the PlayStation Network servers are powerful. I know a lot of people are like paying for multiplayer access is a scam, but I'm like, no, I think those bills are big because they're renting some big fucking servers off that shit. Like, I know it's rough, but I genuinely do think there's a reason why they started charging money, because like this. There are like we have a rented server for Vintage Fair we've talked about. Yes, it is the like least expensive one, but like sometimes that shit just don't work. You get on a PS5, a PlayStation Plus server, and you're doing some multiplayer shit. Like, yeah, occasionally we get kicked out of the lobby. There was one time when there was the title update, we all got knocked offline because it was like must update, cannot go online. But like the game doesn't crash when you do that. Usually getting back in is like pretty fast. Sometimes it fights you a little, but like network wise, it has been, once we figured out like the easiest way to do multiplayer, it's been usually pretty seamless. Like I don't really get like a lot of like lag. Like I said, no real issues with like weird performance stuff, no weird polygon shit. Like
we don't get a lot of lag, but we do sometimes we do sometimes get lag. Like I think those moments where the monster just stands, absolutely still for a moment, that's the lag. But usually I feel like in those moments, the monster isn't actually doing anything. I think it's like actually waiting for everyone to catch up before it actually starts doing weird ass attacks. Because otherwise I'm pretty sure we would have been blowing up way more times than now.
Probably. But yeah, so like it's sadly the kind of like the current trend, and I do think, I've Lucky likes to say he's dumb. I think Lucky's a little sharper than he thinks he is. You've got that worldly experience, but I have been through a classical education in my time, and I've studied some history, and a lot of my professors talked about this. Human society is kind of like a pendulum. We like to swing back and forth a lot, because usually how it works is like people gravitate towards one extreme, and then either the people who are left out or even the people who gravitate to that extreme basically have the grass is greener problem, right? You're like, honestly, probably you're experiencing that in a microcosm with Monster Hunter Wilds. What I understand is that parts of Wilds' new mechanics are usually very reactive to criticisms about either World or Rise. Like, it seems like they directly address criticisms about those games in their new game. Who could have guessed? But, like, people then try to congregate back the other way. So, like, some of this stuff they're probably going to keep forever for new Monster Hunter games. But when you play the next new game, there will probably be some changes that will be directly addressed to criticisms in Wilds. But, like, the current trend we're at that I think people are starting to push back in some corners is, like, you don't just say your opinion to say your opinion. Opinions are given, like, moral value, which is really weird. And that's just, like, a lot of people, especially a lot of younger people, have this problem where, like, media can't just be bad or not for you. There must be something morally wrong with it. Or also, because my media is good and enjoyable, there is something morally and ethically correct about it. Don't do that shit. Media is media, y'all. Sometimes good media can be made by scumbags, and sometimes good people can make dog shit media. It happens to the best of us. But the other thing is just like you said, people don't just say their opinion to get their opinion out there. It's part of, like, a trick or a gimmick to get eyeballs or to get money. This is a thing we've actually talked about on Fail Portrayal, oddly enough, because it comes up in the Yu-Gi-Oh sphere sometimes, where, like, blue check marks will start shit. If you see a blue checkmark account on Twitter starting shit, block them. Don't engage. They're literally being paid, which seems like it should be the easiest thing in the world to get paid to argue with people. But God, it's annoying sometimes, and I don't want to do it. Which is why I block. Sorry, I just tabbed over to Twitter and saw some fucking sick Final Fantasy XIV art that I'm retweeting. This is what I want out of Twitter. But yeah, you know, it's... I have also seen, like, a microcosm of opinions on, like, Reddits and Discords and Twitter. Sadly, I don't use my Blue Sky enough for my Blue Sky algorithm to start feeding me Monster Hunter content.
I know Twitter is a cesspool, but it's a cesspool that I know of, and I'm already following people.
Yeah, it's, like, we really probably should have just, like, cut it out entirely when the thing happened, but we didn't because it's so hard to unstick yourself. Like, I have Blue Sky. I check it every couple of days. You know, some people I used to follow on Twitter are completely over there. Some people multi-post. And Blue Sky's not perfect. It's not like a perfect snapshot of Twitter. There's no, like, bookmark, for instance. So you can't, like, save shit for later. But, like, the thing is about Twitter is, like, yeah, there's a lot of fucking dog shit I don't like on Twitter. But, like, the Twitter algorithm does kind of work. Like, these days, when I tab over to my For You page, it is usually stuff that is vaguely relevant to things I have been checking out. Sometimes even if I don't realize I've been checking them out. Like, you know, I'll watch some fucking clips or, like, check out some tweets from, like, random VTubers on YouTube or whatever, or check out their tweets. And then, like, people who were in some of those clips, like some other people in the sphere, you know, maybe VTubers or regular streamers, will start just showing up in my Twitter feed. And I'm just like, oh, yes, I guess I technically do know who this person is. And it's not like I don't know them enough and like, I'm focused enough to go for a follow, but it feeds. And if your Twitter algorithm is feeding you shit, you have probably engaged with it somehow.
Nah, Twitter ain't great, and people running it ain't great, but it serves a need I do, and will not require me to do a lot of work finding things which may not even. Man, I think several, like, of the people I follow, like, may have Blue Skies, but I also follow, like, a lot of like, Japanese artists and whatnot. I don't know if they got Blue Sky. I don't know.
Some of them made the jump to Blue Sky, but, like, Twitter is still a very unique space for art posting. There's still nowhere quite like it because an unfortunate side effect of the fact that Elon explicitly does not actually give a fuck if you say the worst shit possible on Twitter, is also that, like, you can post any kind of art on Twitter when, like, actual fucking porn sites want your, you know, driver's license these days because that's a law that your local government, your state government can pass. Which is fucking bullshit. And the porn sites don't want to do it either because they don't want to be in charge of your fucking ID data. Nobody does. That shouldn't be their fucking problem. But, you know, that's straying closer to the big political clusterfuck that I know people probably don't want us to get into because like it is sometimes it is real bleak out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not listening to us to be reminded of that. You're listening to us to hear about FGO and hear me be hype about Dante Alighieri and hear Lucky talk about Monster Hunter and Monster Hunter
Monster
girls.
Hunter, I just killed a Hirabami because I wasn't paying attention to the map. You were kind of a bitch.
Those guys are so fucking weird. Monster Hunter has such good designs. I think a decent number of the guys are new and wilds, which is good.
Most of the guy in like the initial low rank quests are, I believe, like Congola and Blongola. They're old hats.
And obviously, the whole
think
point
most-
of the Guardian monsters is that they can whip out some guys who would not be around otherwise.
Well, yeah, no, actually, I find it interesting that they pulled out like freaking Doshiguma is a new monster. He got a Guardian variant. Odogaron debuted in World, and they just have his Guardian variant, but they have both Rathalos and Rathalos Guardian version, which it's like I don't know. I wonder if like one of their like because here's the thing, Monster Hunter it's pretty much a live service game. We're gonna be getting not necessarily live service. You're not paying for like a monthly thing, but we're going to be getting slow rollouts of updates with events, new monsters. I do believe they've talked about how they're going to be putting in like an actual canteen and gathering hub later, but they'll slowly start trickling in new monsters for us to fight. So we'll like at some point we may get more Guardian monsters and we might get more of other monsters. I'm just not entirely sure what it is. So, but yeah, no, a lot of the older monsters were released once we hit high rank, and most of the stuff in low rank is all the new things. Like Guardian Odogaron is I want to say technically new because the Guardian archetype is like a new variant that we want to use.
They're classified as constructs, which is apparently never been a thing before.
Yeah. Like and like they do have like they use the same like move sets, but they have different effects. Like being able to heal through the Welk and
a lot of their attacks summon the little Welk spires, which kind of like elementally explode.
Yeah, so they have some different effects. So some people will say they're not new. I'll say they're new because they're on a whole new classification.
At the very least, they're variants.
Yeah, but yeah, no, like as we get like more updates and then like I don't know how many DLC we're gonna get for
it seems like their format for the past couple of games has been one big X pack.
It has been one big X pack, but like I said, who knows? They might change it. Like I don't know, like what is their dev plan for?
I mean, I'm gonna say with selling like 8 million copies, I suspect they probably don't need to have an aggressive monetization plan.
No.
But yeah, they already have like event quests for normal shit up, and I suspect we'll get weirder stuff. But like I said, the monster designs are pretty sick. A lot of them show up, and I'm just like, so I was often in a VC with you guys progging story. I was just like, what the fuck did I just see? Hold on. Like I think the first time I met Hirabami, I was like, is that a fucking like levitating snake guy? And yeah, kinda. I think I've said it was like, is it a flying snake centipede?
Yes, I believe that was the word you used.
Because hey, spoilers, it is. It's like they're classified as leviathans, which are usually aquatic, but they have like a cobra hood. They use like a sail. They do have limbs, but they're like little short claw fins. But they have like weird little centipede-like tail claws, which they can use to hang onto the ceiling because they sleep upside down like bats.
It's cute.
Weird little guys. Fucking New Udra is a oily flame octopus that I don't think a lot of people are expecting.
No, that's New Udra and Zhu Wu is a completely new monster type skeleton, I guess I want to say.
Ooh, so cephalopods.
I think Hirabami might have something that was kind of like that, but no, this is the first time we've had like multi-tentacled enemies in Monster Hunter.
And they're good. They're good. They're both very unique. Like Jufu is like a weird little like liquid metal squid guy.
Yeah, he'll hit you with swords and sickles.
Got a lot of reach. Whereas, like I said, New Udra is a fire octopus. Who, by the way, talking about aura, that guy, the intro cutscene, the black flame, that shit hits. That was good.
Yeah.
No, there's some real good designs. So like people better not be complaining about the monster designs.
No, I don't think anyone's actually complained about the monster design. Although I do think some people have complained about there wasn't enough unique monsters or monsters at launch. I don't remember exactly which one. But again, I feel like people are complaining just to complain.
Yeah, I think I've heard the stat. There's like 29 total monsters in the game, which is like one less than World had. World was like 30. And I don't know if that
it's
counts
because
the
some
fact
people
that
are not
the
counting
final boss can't be replayed yet. You definitely will be able to fight that guy later. There's no way that guy's not coming back because it doesn't have an armor set yet. Also, that fight is type as hell, and I'd love to repeat it, but
yeah,
story-wise, it doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be unique.
But no, again, what was I gonna mention? Oh yes, I do believe that some people are getting mad because they don't count the Guardian variant as their own unique monsters. They're just calling, they're they call them variants.
I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of lead up, but like you said, yeah, Doshiguma or Doshaguma, as they say sometimes, is like, yes, he's a guardian and he's normal, but they are actually different. Like the regular Doshaguma does not do like the ranged. I don't even know what the guardian version spits at you. More wyvern milk, I guess. And like doesn't get quite the same AoE attacks. They're both ornery fuckers. Those guys are like, I think Doshaguma is like one of the few monsters that as it actually gets more and more beat up, gets just more and more mad. Doesn't quite get tired, just gets more upset.
I think that's right.
It sure feels like it. Like I said, when you have to fight the alpha in the story, like I swear to God, my Palico was saying, "Oh, that monster looks tired," for like, it felt like 10 minutes. It was probably like 5 minutes, and I was like, "Brother, it sure don't look tired." As he's like double fist slamming exploding rocks at me. Ornery boys. But like they are different. You get different mats. They have completely separate weapon trees. Like, yeah, they're recolors, but they are like different. And like I said, some guys don't have armor sets yet, or only had armor sets in high rank, but there's a lot of vibe and a lot of zest, and like all the guys really are different and they feel it. Like, I've done the Rathalos trial in 14 a couple of times. There's some similar mechanics, but the Rathalos in Wilds still ornery as hell. All kinds of sick moves. We'll get your ass.
Well, this is slightly because they have actually updated some of the moves for some of the monsters. The Rathalos, I do believe, has a couple new moves that he didn't have before.
Yeah, some new tricks.
Which only makes it more terrifying. Great, thank you.
And God, like the Apex Predators, like we said, all those guys have wild moves. All great fights. Like Raydao is like so iconic with his fucking railgun face.
Oh, I love it.
Or
these monsters make almost like no sense, but I just like how Capcom's like, nah, we don't care. It shoots lightning at people.
We talked about Uthduna, the big water boy.
Big water boy.
Has like special, like almost cinematic attacks where it'll like jump out of the water and splash you. And obviously, I think the big winner out of the Apex is, other than maybe Nuna the Black Flame. Like that's another one that's real popular, especially because you can, both for its aura, but also because you can cut off all its arms, and it's very funny. We've done that. It was funny. Jindahad is just a big winner, y'all. Like that guy's great.
No, I love it. I love his raid. I love that you have to basically systematically destroy all his hit sinks so you can destroy the big one on the bag that basically renders a lot of his ice attacks ineffective. You're pulling him down off of fucking giant
pillars and rocks and stuff.
Pillars and rocks.
He's got kind of like almost like a Draco Lich vibe, because he's very like, he's metallic but also very like skeletal shaped.
Yeah.
Nah, it's a cool one. So like, nah, they're real good. They're clocking, and I am sure that the game will include both new guys and more returning guys you will be excited for. It's very funny. There's this one comment that's been going around where talking about Zhu Wu, where like apparently that like normally the way quests work is like if somebody goes missing, you usually find them later and stuff like that. There is a side quest with Zhu Wu where that definitely did not happen. We're pretty sure Zhu Wu ate a guy.
Yeah.
Because the locals dress like guardians, and Zhu Wu has evolved to eat guardians. And I saw some people being like, that means Zhu has a canon kill count higher than some like final boss monsters. That's funny. Yeah, he's just the evil little shit to do it too. Trust me. You see this guy, you're like, that guy's evil. Mushroom ass looking ass. Yeah, Monster Hunter, good. It is midnight. We're gonna lose an hour. I probably will get back to it today because I'm tired from being fucking sick.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta run the audio, but hopefully tomorrow before rain.
Rain. I love to talk rain, but we can probably save that.
We can probably save it. We had a good session though that you guys should keep an eye out for when Lucky gets around to uploading it. And I remember to post it. It's a long one. It's good. We had a fight. We had some exposition. We're gonna come back to some more exposition.
Holy howdy was there exposition.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like I know you guys are kind of surprised by this, and I'm sure there will be times when you guys will like check in with characters just to check in with characters, and they won't have a lot to add. But I definitely feel like I have an impulse of like when you guys are like, "No, man, we want to go here to check out some stuff." I'm gonna be like, "Okay, well, there's." I feel like I would warn you ahead of time if there would be absolutely nothing out of place for you to learn about something. I would just tell you, oh, you would know not to go there. So if you go places, I'm probably going to have some stuff. Not everything I think will be quite as revelatory as we had. But, I know. The raw recording, somebody in our patron chat said long rains are great. I think we ended at 4.5 hours.
Well, there was a lot of exposition because, like I said, we finally got to speak to a character that I've been wanting to speak to for a while. And turns out she is great for exposition. Let us know a lot of stuff.
A couple of things you wanted to ask about. And I was like, okay. I think... out of character, Lucky, you had the correct judgment that this person would know a few things about some stuff. So,
yeah,
had some stuff in our pocket. And then, because it's me, I'm just like, there may or may not be some characters who are, are gonna point out about how it's almost like weird shit is following you. Like you guys have some kind of main character syndrome or something.
Gasp.
But I had to throw some weird shit at him at the end, so there was a combat.
Yeah. Oh no, trust me, no. Enos as a character is like, why is shit happening?
At the very least, I feel like once we got out of the twofold. One, because of the prologue and the ongoing thing, I have, all but stated there is a conspiracy ongoing in the world, maybe multiple conspiracies, who, because they killed your dad, you want to investigate them. They would prefer if you didn't do that. But also, because that was kind of the first thing you did, I used the very early post-prologue segment at Logi's Labyrinth to kind of set up, also, hey, maybe metaphysically, there's something wacky going on in your world that gives me an excuse for why, shit's a little fucked up right now. And some of this exposition was you guys asking about that, and, not quite getting to, ways to fix some of those problems, but at least getting the confirmation that, oh, this is a thing. This is, a real thing. There should be something we can do about it. What can we do about it? I don't know.
No, I like that because minor spoiler. We actually got a scientific name for something that we're looking for. It's we're looking into something now called modern ley line theory, and it's just all okay, we actually have things we can actually turn as, and a follow up on that. I'm just like, oh, and just other things with conspiracy. Got to speak about Charlotte the Witch, who someone mentioned in Leofric Loki's journals, and guess what? She's based off the mirror cages, a summoner of ill repute. I'm just all man, didn't we just run into a summoner from the mirror cage of ill repute? I wonder if those are connected. I don't actually know if they're connected, but boy, howdy, that's a bit of a quinky dink there. So it's no, it's just one of those things that Lucky is, playing Monster Hunter at 4 a.m. because he's not sleeping because he's dumb. Just lays down, laying down in bed thinking about it. I'm just man, I need to get back to rain.
We always love rain. We're always down for more rain.
No, so not to talk over long on it. Maybe next time when we're a little bit better about time. But no, a lot of things happening in rain. It's good. I will get that episode posted probably tonight. Probably. I can do that after. I
can run it up on Mondays just so we're not double dipping on uploads. But yeah, it'll be a fun time. You should check it out. We're having fun.
We're having fun here.
Oh, shit. We talk about having too much time. We've somehow made the episode go for 3.5 hours. I need to do Fan Servant Friday. I forgot.
Oh.
I should have wrote that note down. It's okay. I will remember to get to it next time for sure. I hate when I fuck up. At least I haven't posted the new poll yet. I'll let it run a little long. Sorry, guys. I know it's a patron bonus. It should be a little more inclusive. But we get to yapping, and I remember Lucky said, "I'm not sure we'll make 2 hours." Here we are, 3.5 hours.
Well, we talked a lot about Monster Hunter.
It's true. I think that's about an hour of this raw. And also, honestly, like I said, there was a fairly big mailbag. We got into the weeds on a couple stuff.
We did.
But yeah, I literally just remembered. I'll write a note in the show notes for next time. But yeah, Rain's always fun, and we can talk through some stuff because like you did end at a conclusion because you finished the fight, but very much there needs to be follow-up exposition about stuff, you know. So
Well, yeah, because we learned something about Sister Mercedes. I'm just like, oh, well, okay. I don't want to spoil it, but it's important.
lots of things, wheels and wheels, stuff going on, and you guys
Out
will
there.
probably. Let me see if I want to predict. Depending on how much yapping you guys want to do, you should definitely get as far as Tredesim next time. I don't know if you'll actually like go all the way up Astrakhan Hill and stuff, but you should at least get into the city and figure out what order you want to do what in.
Yeah, no. I'll be real. I did imagine this to be a little bit of a detour, but I feel like this is going to be a bigger detour, like out of character than I originally intended.
Possibly a little. It's one of those things where like you're talking about, oh, we're gonna visit a few lands, and I'm just like, that's gonna take you a little bit. Gonna have to travel. There's Trone's not super huge, but there is kind of a big mountainy area in the middle of the island, so gotta work with it.
Yeah, no, and I
Those
don't
at
want to
least probably shouldn't be like too long. Like I expect those will be more like vignettes or anecdotes, depending on like how in depth the players want to get with talking to specific characters. Which is
like honestly, I'm hoping for
strengths.
like the anecdotal. It's like we pop in, we say hi, I make sure everyone is okay, and see if there's anything I can do to help. We leave.
Yeah, that's
That's-
how I'm planning on. That's the section I'm not as far as. That'll probably be at least a couple weeks from now.
Yeah,
or
no,
a
like
weekish.
visiting like the houses, Martlet, Alphen, and Giles. This is like, no, I don't actually want any role playing there or vignettes. I just want to pop my head and be like, I remember these characters exist.
Yeah, and that'll definitely be much more of like, here's a brief description of what their places are like because you've never been there before.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit about their culture just because we like these notes and they kind of help influence things. And then it'll be, hey, is everybody okay? Obviously, I won't spoil things, but that's what you're there to ask. And if everybody's okay, you just
Gonna move on.
move on. Yeah.
Yes. Because again, like we have like so many plans for when we actually get back to Stonehearth. That's like, I think everyone's starting to vibrate a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, especially Aaron as Conrad, because he has big plans, but they really can't get into motion until he gets back.
Mhm.
So I'm just like,
And I feel
But
like
it's
everybody has agency. And also, I want to be clear. I, as the GM, also want to get you back because you'll see when you guys get back there, I'm going to have to Leslock's literally going to have to take a fucking chain of meetings of hey, I've thought of 3 or 4 cool NPCs to introduce when you fucking get back. And I have been sitting on these guys for a literal fucking, probably more like 2 months or 3 months. We've talked before about how you guys have different imagine the war table and there are different plot threads with all the allied tribes and stuff going on. I'm hey, guess what? I've been cooking on some of these. I got shit we got to get back to. I've got the people who listen to the AP, which should be more of you. Check them out, seriously. You listen to us for 3 hours on here. You'll probably will enjoy us role playing for 3 to 4 hours. Probably. I understand it's not for everyone, but give it a try. But people know I got a way of having stuff come back to you in a very funny way. Did that very recently with Nicola getting shot. Came back in probably the funniest way. I love that one member of the Blood Shields being all right, here's your honors, blah, blah, blah. Now, don't do that again. Because, that was a thing I was thinking about when I did mail call, and I was like, oh, right, he should absolutely get some kind of recognition for that. But also, it's the kind of recognition where the rest of the group looks at him and goes, all right, you. So, yeah, I got more of those in my pocket. Because you guys, do stuff and set up stuff, and it comes back eventually.
I might try to walk back on some things. Like the whole Drakesburg thing. I was thinking about it. That's probably not actually important. Not right now. I think it's just another thing. I don't know.
At the very least, you are still, at least when you left and wanted to come back, you were planning on touring some major cities in Logie lands. I still got my list of those queued up. Drakesburg is on there. So you guys may actually pop in and look around and see what the situation is like. But it's one of those things where character plans evolve and even if it's only been 3 weeks since you last had those planes in character, stuff is happening. They're dramatic couple of weeks.
Yeah, no. Enos has had some mindset things, and like I said, out of character. I have to become more cool than King Win, and I'm just all like,
He's thinking. He's planning.
He's thinking and I'm planning. And like I said, maybe like trying to annex territories to the Iron Demons is not necessarily the way to do that. Especially
At the very least, I mean, this is a thing we've talked about before. At some point, you should probably check in with the Iron Demons and see if they'll accept such a thing.
Yeah. So no, I think when we get back to the session, we'll talk to Leslie and be like, the thing about Janksberg? Forget about that. That was me being dumb. Enos has realized that he is more dumb than he thought.
Honestly, I think a lot of the characters have had that realization of just like, obviously when you guys started the prologue, you guys were all, sorry, another sneeze. You were all, young, inexperienced, but, it was the kind of thing that made your characters grow up fast. But I think part of this, the post-prologue, like chapter 1, and even technically we're in chapter 2, because I get to arbitrarily decide when the chapters are. But like chapter 1 especially was you guys realizing like, hey, we are smarter now. We are older now. We're better now. There's some shit that's been going on in this world that's way bigger than us. We did not realize how long some of this shit has been going on. You guys are literally dealing with like some millennial shit right now, as in thousands of years ago shit. It's heavy.
It's a bit heavy. So yeah, no, it's again one of those things of all like my end goal necessarily hasn't changed, but I need to change how I approach it maybe. So
I think everybody's had that note before.
Yeah.
But all right.
So,
well, it's after midnight, and before too long, it'll jump forward another hour because your government hates you. This is nothing about time. Daylight savings time is bullshit. It's bad for your sleep, which is bad for your lifespan. But nobody will ever fucking change it. Nothing ever happens here. But we are at like 3.5 hours mission clock, so we should probably wrap up before it gets too late because I do got to edit and post this. Anything else going on with you in this week, Lucky?
No, not really.
It was Oops All Monster Hunter.
It was Oops All Monster Hunter, literally. I've been slacking on my ganja, I've been slacking on my reading, been slacking on my anime. Oops All Monster Hunter. I'm probably gonna go play more Monster Hunter. So
let's wind down the show again. Sorry, that was like last week. I intentionally left it out because we're catching up with stuff. But I just forgot to mention this week. I forgot to write it down. I intended to do Fanservice Friday, and I forgore. My bad. My brain is also literally full of Monster Hunter. I fucking toss it turn at night. I'm like Tetris affecting myself in my sleep about Monster Hunter. Okay, we're Oops All Monster Hunter. But we will get on out of here. So look forward to that next week. Look forward to any further thoughts because the CBC story should be done, assuming we're all caught up on the points ladder. So we can talk about that.
Should be.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. I don't think you need too crazy high points to be done. And you never know what else is going to be ongoing with time and stuff. And if there's nothing else to talk about, we can yap about Rain for an hour or two.
Yeah.
So hey, if you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to give us a like, give us a sub, share with your friends. Join our Discord. Our Discord has both threads for FGO stuff, both EN and JP. And also, we have a dedicated Monster Hunter thread to contain all your Monster Hunter posting, etc., and lots of other funny ha-has. So join us on Discord. Consider ringing the bell for notifications so you never post new videos. You can join our channel memberships to support us. Like I said, shit's been a little wacky lately. Could use the old top-off of the coffers. And you can also support us on Patreon, get access to the episodes early in audio format. Higher level patrons get access to polls for certain videos or topics every month. Also get access to videos like Wanted early. And at our highest levels, you can listen to us record Let's Talk FGO live, roughly every week.
Yeah.
So that is the show. And we'll see you guys next week. But before we close out, I would also like to specifically shout out our highest level patrons like Adam Harp, Black Stoji, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, JD1000, Crystalite, Legendary Boss Hunter, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, Charvor, some guy named Bob, and Varian the Crow. I'm like pointing to emphasize each name. I don't know why I'm doing that. You can't see me. Thank you for indulging me in this, though, and thank you for supporting us. That's it, everybody.